Live from the Metrodome indoor football in Minneapolis, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Ryan with Herb Cross at the Metrodome, and the Bucs now 2-1 coming in here today. And the coach of the Vikings, Jerry Burns himself, says the best he's seen them look this early in the season since he's been coaching.
Well, Timmy says that because Tampa Bay has developed a pretty sound running game, and he's concerned about that because last week the Minnesota Vikings gave up 215 yards rushing against the Chicago Bears. Now, Tampa Bay comes in here with a guy named Gary Anderson, who rushed for 71 yards last week against Detroit. Now, if he can do that, he'll take an awful lot of pressure off of Vinny Testaverde at quarterback.
That's for sure. Now, as far as the Vikings quarterback situation, a new man at the helm today.
Well, a new man at the helm is sort of sad news. I talked to the Viking team doctor just a few minutes ago, Timmy, and he told me that Wade Wilson, the former starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, will be out at least 8 weeks with a thumb injury. And, of course, Rich Gannon takes over as starting quarterback. He's been a backup for 4 years. Vikings aren't concerned about him, however, though. So if Minnesota is going to win this game or Tampa Bay is going to win it, they're going to win it on the ground.
All right, Herb. Well, the Vikings will have the first opportunity at the ball today, and they have won 14 in a row here, dominating in the Metrodome. And kicking off will be Steve Christie for the Buccaneers, and back is Herschel Walker standing just outside the goal line. Christie, the man that the coach of the Buccaneers, Ray Perkins, decided to keep instead of Donald Igwebuike, who is here now in Minnesota. And the ball bouncing into the end zone, and Walker does not bring it out. So Rich Gannon, in his first NFL start, in his 4th year with the Vikings, was a third-string quarterback until he got his opportunity this year to move into the #1 spot because of injury. Zimmerman, McDaniel, Loudermilk, Wolfley, Irwin, and Jordan. Rick Finney and Herschel Walker, the starting running backs. Carter and Jones are the wide receivers. And it will be Todd Kalis at right guard, I do believe, number 69 instead of Wolfley. Kalis had a chest injury, but he was back in action. Walker on first down gets about a yard, and it is up to the 23-yard line for Herschel Walker. Walker now with 179 yards coming into the game. Defensively for the Buccaneers, Davis, Jarvis, and Jim Scow, the acquisition from the Cincinnati Bengals in their 3-4 alignment. The linebackers, a strong young crew with one veteran in there, Eugene Marv, who is the real rock of that linebacking group. Reynolds and Haddix on the corners, Robinson and Harry Hamilton, two very experienced and qualified safeties. Finney in motion. Gannon pumps once. Now he'll run. First down for Rich Gannon. Well, that was an interesting start for the young quarterback, Herb.
Well, but not an unexpected start, Tim, because Fred Bruni, the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, said the one thing that concerns me about Gannon is he's a great runner. Now, Wade Wilson was also a good scrambler, but with Gannon, when he takes the ball down and puts it under his arm, he becomes another running back. He's very effective running the ball, but I'm sure Bernsey would rather see him throw it in those passing situations.
From the 31-yard line, a first down Vikings opening series at the Metrodome. Gannon, 24 years of age, from the University of Delaware. And Walker blasts his way for about 2, close to the 35-yard line. In the middle of that Buccaneer front, making the stop, and Jerry Burns is starting the game with that concerned look, and he'll finish the game with that same concerned look, win or lose.
But he has to be happy today to some extent, though, Tim, because he won the opening coin toss. First time this season.
Yeah, in fact, he had a lot to do with it. At least he says that he picked Audrey McMillan, his special teams captain. He just appointed to make the coin toss to hopefully turn that around. It worked for him. And the Buccaneers had won 3 of 3. Walker from Gannon, good coverage out on the left side. The linebacker, Broderick Thomas, the #1 pick a year ago, tracking him out there and wrapping him up. There is Broderick Thomas, 23-year-old from Nebraska.
Tim, Broderick Thomas made that play look pretty simple. He went out there and had good containment, good leverage on Herschel Walker, not allowing him to get outside. Now, what you have to remember, though, is that Walker is a guy with tremendous speed. Thomas had to run with him stride for stride to stay head up to prevent Walker from making that turn. Did a good job.
7-yard loss on the play, as it turns out. 3rd down and 15 remaining for a first down. They go to the shotgun.
25, 185.
time, but now he runs out of it. Buried by Tim Newton, the former Viking, getting his first opportunity, winds up with a sack. Now, here's a 6-year man from Florida that the Vikings let go, and you know he's in a good mood right now.
Tim Newton, number 96, playing right over the center's head, beats the center's block, just driving him straight back and gets rid of him. And once he does that, Rich Gannon, first sack of the day from his former Viking teammates.
Buccaneers evidently had good coverage downfield because Gannon had some time initially before he ran out of it. So Newsom will be punting. Gets away a pretty good punt to the 45-yard line. Fair catch by Willie Drury. And the crowd here, I think, a little extra applause for Harry Newsom. But there may be a flag down. Yes, there is, back at the 12-yard line. And the eager applause for Newsom, even though it's only a 35-yard punt, was the fact that it wasn't blocked because, or fumbled, because last week, of course, Newsom dropped a critical one late in the game against the Bears. Gave the Bears a chance to win it.
Tim Newsom had a bad week last week. Not only dropping the kick, we're here at Red Cash's call here.
Running into the kicker, number 29, 5 yards, and still fourth down. Fourth down.
All right, a great opportunity for the Vikings here, running into the kicker.
Here it is,
Ricky
Tim.
Reynolds.
Sorry, Tim, here it is. Newsom getting a kick away, and there he is. Reynolds just couldn't stop himself. Newsom coming forward. Reynolds trying to get out of there, but took one step further than he should have gone and ran into him.
Well, it's an opportunity for Newsom to recoup a little bit here because now he's standing at the 8-yard line, and after a 35-yarder, he'll look to improve it. Low line drive. Drury's going to return this one. And he gets to the 46-yard line in Vikings territory. So the Bucs will have their first possession when we return. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross at the Metrodome, where the Buccaneers have their first offensive opportunity. And the punt by Newsom coming up short, and a good return by Drury, giving Tampa Bay a first down at the Vikings 46-yard line. Vinny Testaverde brings out the Buccaneer offense. Gruber and Dill, Grimes, Beckles, Taylor, and Ron Hall across the front. Reggie Cobb, Gary Anderson, the running backs. Carrier and Bruce Hill, the wide receivers. Gary Anderson. Anderson gets about 3 before Scott Studwell makes the hit, number 55. Defensively for the Vikings, Noga, Thomas, Millard, and Dolman, considered perhaps the best front in the entire National Football League. Barry for the injured Mark Dusbabic at left linebacker, Studwell and Merriweather. In a secondary of Pro Bowler Carl Lee with Reggie Ruppman on the corners, Pro Bowler Joey Rounder with Darrell Fullington at safety. Gary Anderson again, straight ahead. Short of the first down by about a yard, but a gain of about 6 for Gary Anderson. Merriweather and Browner on the stop.
You know, Tim, coming into this game, the Vikings are very concerned, as you could well suspect. They had to stop the running game. They had some difficulty last week against the Chicago Bears, giving up 215 yards, and that man there, Gary Anderson, is a top-flight running back. So they want to chart very closely how they do on first down. If they can get the opposing team, Tampa Bay, to get less than 4 yards, 4 yards or less on first down, they feel they've done a good job. If they get more than 4 yards, they're going to be in trouble.
Third and short, they bring in an extra tight end, Jesse Anderson, and Lawson at fullback, and Reggie Cobb may have been stopped. Vikings' response to the run excellent on the short yardage situation. Mike Merriweather, the linebacker, number 57.
Mike Merriweather, the linebacker, Tim, who normally plays, we say, in space. He doesn't have anybody over him. But in this defense, number 57, you see him coming up to meet the ball carrier head on head, coming right through the hole. There he is, making a tremendous head-on tackle. This is going to be very close.
Linebacking core criticized by their coaching staff after last week's effort against the Bears, and it is just short, so the Vikings have brought up a 4th and inches.
They were criticized, Tim, because when the Vikings coaches evaluated the play of their linebackers after last week's game in Chicago, they were rated the lowest they've ever been rated as a group, and they were really concerned about it.
So Merriweather and Barry and Studwell under some heat today from their coaching staff. Ray Perkins making his first important call of the game, says, let's go for it, boys. Cobb and Lawson. Reggie Cobb has the first down. Got to the 35 on his forward progress before being thrown back. And so the Buccaneers win the first gamble of the day. And Irv, you know, you said something to me yesterday about the importance of being able to push it in, like the Vikings in the red zone, wanting to run the ball in even though they've had success passing. It's almost a little show of macho determination for the Buccaneers to win that short yardage battle there.
No doubt about it, Tim, because it's a play for the offensive lineman. It's one lineman against the other, and it's just body on body, strength on strength. On that particular play for half yard, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line won.
Rookie Reggie Cobb coming up with the yardage. Gary Anderson, a lot of running room. Bullington hauls him down, but not before he got to the 15-yard line. And so the Buccaneers doing what they wanted to do here, Irv. They're running the ball and running it well.
And this is also the thing the Vikings were concerned about. Jerry Burns said that once flow starts, we have difficulty stopping and coming back. Number 40, Gary Anderson, taking the ball here on a draw, comes right through the hole here, wide open. Now, Fullington is the first man to confront him here for the Vikings, and he's a safety man about 8 yards deep in the secondary. Makes the tackle, but after a tremendous gain.
21 yards for Gary Anderson, and they are inside the 15 of the Vikings. Anderson again picks up another 5. They'll drop him at the 9. Henry Thomas tripping him up, number 97. Testaverde yet to throw a pass, and Anderson's got 35 yards on the ground. Ray Perkins, when we talked to him yesterday, was a very cool and confident man. Not concerned about anything, is what he said. I like my talent. I think we've got a chance. He said, hey, we could go out and lose the game, but I like the talent I've got on this team. We're ready to do something this year.
Tim, and he wasn't overstating it either. He's very comfortable with this football team. He said, I like this football team. They have good work habits, and they're real pros. I have confidence in them. We have good personnel out there. This is the kind of a team that has championship character. He believes that, and they're going to be tested today against a fine Viking team.
Still very young, but he thinks they're mature. Second down, 5 to go. Flag down. Cobb is stopped at the line of scrimmage. Keith Millard may have jumped, and Cobb got about a yard as he was hit by Studwell. The veteran who leads the Vikings in tackles struggled last week against the Bears, and he's been a factor early for the Vikings with a couple of tackles already. Let's see what the call is. The usual did he jump or was he drawn situation.
Offside. Number 75 on the defense. Still second down.
Well, the eager Keith Millard charged with offside.
They call it the Vikings, when they line up, even on first down, Tim, are always in a pass rush frame of mind. They want to get off the ball quickly. Keith Millard, number 75, you see him right there at the right tackle, does jump prematurely in the neutral zone. Vikings pick up, or the Tampa Bay picks up 5 easy yards on the penalty.
Scott Dill, the man facing Millard today, replacing Tom McHale, the starter, who's out with an injury. Anderson straightened up at about the 2-yard line, but still picked up about 4, and it looks like it'll be a 1st and goal here for the Vikings.
You have to be somewhat surprised to see this drive the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have orchestrated here. Anderson again working off his right guard, finds a nice hole there coming up field before Joey Browner is the first man to confront him on the 2-yard line. Great head-on tackle, but the Buccaneers are on the move.
Merriweather with that hit again. But it's 1st and goal, Buccaneers at the 2. Gary Anderson picks his way in, standing up. And the first boos in the Metrodome are heard as the Buccaneers literally ran the ball down the throats of the Vikings on their opening series.
The score by Anderson is, again, credit the offensive line for doing a good job. Number 62, Ian Beckles, comes across in a trap block, picks up the defensive tackle there, clears the way for Anderson for the touchdown. 8
running plays and not a pass from the pass-happy Testaverde in his first few years when they had to throw the ball. Christie with the point after. A flag is thrown on the play. Christie made the point after, but some action along the line brings the yellow flag. Head linesman Terry Gerke making the call. And it's holding against the kicking team, the Buccaneers. So Christie will attempt again from a little farther back. Ray Perkins, Herb, has just got to feel very good about asserting themselves the way they did here on that opening series.
Well, we talked to the team last night, Tim, and all of them, all the players we talked to, as well as the coaches, seemed very confident.
Number 58 on the offense. Be 10 yards, we'll repeat the try.
They sort of felt like it was time for them now to come in here to Minnesota and square up with the Vikings on an even level. And they've certainly proved in that first drive they're capable of moving the ball on the ground, controlling that defensive line.
Winston Moss was charged with holding, and Christie hits it from the 20 and makes it anyway. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take the early lead at the Metrodome, 7:02 to play first quarter, 7-0. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross at the Metrodome, Minneapolis, 7-0 Buccaneer lead. Getting the ball in Minnesota territory at the 46. They went 8 plays, using up 4:21 on the clock, did not throw a pass, and it was Gary Anderson with 40 yards rushing and a 2-yard touchdown on the drive. Steve Christie to kick it off for the Bucs. He saw Herschel Walker back to receive. Good deep kickoff. That's what Perkins wants. Drove Walker back to within a yard of the end line. And all that discussion about Donald Igwe-Buike, of which there was considerable this week, that's the reason why. And the man in the striped shirt, Wade Wilson, on the sidelines, just representing a series of injured quarterbacks here.
Yeah, he is, but Wade's going to be out at least 8 weeks with that ligament tear in his right thumb, and you can see the other quarterbacks in the league who are out right now. Chris Wilson, Jeff George, and Mark Rippon are out, but Rich Gannon, who's in for Minnesota, is in better shape than Trudeau and Humphreys, because in practice he takes 50% of the snaps with Wilson, so he's ready to go ahead and take control of this offense.
On first down, he gives it to Walker. Good block and a good cut inside by Herschel for a gain of about 8, maybe 9 on the play. Harry Hamilton on the stop, number 39. Herschel Walker, 179 yards rushing coming into the game, has caught 12 passes. Tom Moore, the new offensive boss here, the assistant head coach, has just literally tailored the new offensive look around Herschel Walker, trying to utilize all of his talents running and pass receiving. And now he shifts back to the spot he likes best, deep in the eye where he can have a good look upfield. Short man, Finney, number 31, gets about 2 yards, and that'll be enough for the first down to the 32-yard line. Kurt Jarvis, the nose tackle, number 95, on the stop.
Tim, when you watch a drive like this, Tampa Bay took the ball and drove it down to the field with a running game, and the Vikings now are answering that by saying, okay, we have a pretty tough offensive line too. We'll show you we're just as tough as you are and have our big guys go after your defensive line. So teams will oftentimes do this. So see, let's get back in the game, knock them off the ball, and show them we can dominate them. So the Vikings now are trying to establish ground control.
From their 31. Finney in motion. Gannon looking the other way. Sideliner for Hassan Jones. First down, Vikings to the 48-yard line. Gannon right on the money. Kurt Jarvis had a pretty good rush on the quarterback on the play.
Tim, people in Minnesota know who Hassan Jones is. If you go anyplace else, they say Hassan who? They all know the other guy, Carter, on the other side. But Hassan Jones makes a lot of key catches for the Minnesota Vikings. Has soft hands, great concentration, but even though there's pressure here, Gannon stands up under it from Carter here, gets the pass away for the completion. Hassan Jones.
There's Jones with a 17-yard gain, and Jarvis getting a lick in on Gannon. Finney for about 4 yards. Jim Scow tripped him up, number 71 from Nebraska. Scow came over at perhaps the one spot at the end of training camp that Ray Perkins wasn't really satisfied with, his right defensive end, and tried several guys there, let Robert Goff go, who had started for him last year in a deal to New Orleans. Ray Seals, still somewhat untested, had no college experience, wasn't ready to step in, so he traded for Jim Scow. And Scow, a 3-year starter with the Bengals. 2nd down and 6. Short drop by Gannon, knocked down on a good play by Broderick Thomas, number 51, leaping up to bat it away.
Broderick Thomas is the outside linebacker at the top of your screen. He, again, has no one over him. So as the ball is snapped, comes upfield. Gannon trying to get this ball over his head, can't do it. Now, Broderick Thomas is about 6'4", but you can see he has great jumping ability. He told us that all of his life he's had to work to try to prove himself. He's a great player in college at Nebraska, and as a pro, he feels he's still growing because he wants to be like his uncle.
And don't worry, folks, we'll keep you up to date on that baseball score. Red Sox win today, they're in. 3rd down. And 6 to go, a long 6 from the shotgun from Gannon. Quick release again. It is caught short of the 1st down by Carter. The ball came loose, but after play was whistled dead. About a 3-yard gain max on that play. It'll be 4th down.
Anthony Carter, the other receiver of 2 great wide receivers they have here in Minnesota. Carter on one side and Hassan Jones on the other. And they mix it up pretty well between the 2 of them.
Harry Newsom's 2nd try was for 39 yards. A little better position to kick it in here. It's fair caught by Drury at the 14-yard line of Tampa Bay. And we have 4:12 remaining here in the 1st quarter. The Buccaneers 7, the Vikings nothing.
You know, we mentioned that Viking punter Harry Newsom's had a tough week, Tim. Earlier in the week, he volunteered to go get sandwiches for his teammates near the Vikings training camp, and he went to find the deli, couldn't find it, came back embarrassed, empty-handed.
That's the guy, I guess he fumbled lunch, you might say. But, you know, poor Harry, he's the guy that fumbled that snap last week that led to a Bears victory, and he just felt terrible about it afterwards. Gary Anderson on 1st down for the Bucks to the 15-yard line. Got maybe a yard at the most, and tripped up by Al Noga. It'll leave 2nd and 9. Ray Perkins just convinced that this team should do well this year despite their youth. He does remind you that he's got a young team. Indeed, he's got a starting right guard as a rookie in Ian Beckles, and he's got a rookie at fullback in Reggie Cobb, and a backup to him that he likes, Bruce Perkins. And nonetheless, feels very good about his chances. Gary Anderson is a big reason he feels good about it. Picks up another 3. Merriweather on the tackle.
Tim, Mike Merriweather played this perfectly. He's a linebacker right here on the left side of your formation, and he's responsible for watching this running back on the draw. Now watch what happens here when the ball is snapped. He just stands right there. Remember last week against Chicago, they ran out of there? Not this week. That's a big adjustment by the Vikings, forcing that play for a short gain.
All right, on 3rd down, Willie Drury comes in at wide receiver, and John Harvey got a touchdown last week against Detroit. Indeed, the winning touchdown in the lineup. Testaverde's first pass for Bruce Hill. Out to midfield, a perfect strike from Testaverde. Joey Browner pulled him down, and Michael Brim may have been hurt on the play. 34-yard first down play.
Tim, from this formation, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run what they call seam patterns. The receivers on the inside of the formation go straight up the field. They try to split number 47. Joey Browner was a safety. He has to go to the man the ball's thrown to. He's right in the middle of the formation where he should be, but he can't quite run it down until after the ball is caught by Bruce Hill. Great pattern.
All right, 2:35 to go in the quarter. Bucks lead by 7. Viking defensive back Michael Brim, who was shaken up a little bit. He's up and all right on the sideline. Just took a good shot from a blocker of the Bucks after the good play. Testaverde's first pass of the game to Bruce Hill for a first down, and they're in Vikings territory again. Look at this.
10 rushes and 1 pass. You know, Perkins last night told us he'd like to run the ball every time if he possibly could, and he wasn't laughing when he said it. Huh?
No, he wasn't. Reggie Cobb tries the ground route again and picks up about 2. It'll leave 2nd and 8. Merriweather, who has been all over the place, makes the tackle once more. Yeah, you talk about all these deals that Mike Lynn, the GM, has made, the Herschel Walker one being certainly the biggest in the franchise history a year ago. I still feel that maybe the best one he made was was getting Merriweather after he had sat out a year in a contract dispute with Pittsburgh.
Exceptional athlete, Tim, but you know, he doesn't accept notoriety that well. He wants his privacy. He's a very quiet, soft-spoken young man, but a tremendous athlete.
2nd and 8, Buccaneers. Cobb. Nice piece of running by Reggie Cobb for about 4 yards. Henry Thomas ranging over to make the stop, number 97.
Tim, Henry Thomas told us that one thing he has to do today that he didn't do last week is be tough in the center, because he's oftentimes double teamed by the tackle and the guard. That particular play, he controlled the center very well, then ran off the guard's block, came down the line, and made the play. It was a tremendous defensive lineman's play there for Henry Thomas.
That'll make his coach Floyd Peters there a little happier than he was a week ago, and he told the guys, just do your job. Don't worry about trying to be a hero out there. On 3rd down and 4, Testaverde. Good defensive play there. Anderson, the intended receiver. And coming up to put the hit was Andre McMillan, the nickelback. Excellent pass coverage play, knocking it loose.
This is a defensive back's dream, Tim. Andre McMillan rotating to the side where the ball is being thrown has nothing to do but cover that short man coming up there. He hits him right on the belly button, and the ball goes incomplete. Tremendous play.
And the last man you saw coming in to help out was Merriweather. 4th down, Mark Royals' first punt from the 42-yard line. Anthony Carter is back at the 10. Jerry Burns told us he was going to put him back out there receiving punts, at least for now. This one standing at the 10, he makes the fair catch on. They want some more production on their special teams, so he replaces Ira Hillary in that role. 51 seconds remaining in the first quarter. A 33-yard punt by Mark Royals. No return. So the Vikings start deep in their own end. Well, yesterday, number 2 ranked Florida State whipped up on Virginia Tech, 39-28. Number 10 Miami, a big winner over Iowa. And our CBS Sports coverage of the CFA continues Saturday at 2 when Florida State takes on Miami in that fierce cross-state rivalry. Lots of you folks in Tampa will be looking forward to that. Jim Nance, Tim Brannon, John Dockery will be on hand at 2 o'clock Eastern. First down, Vikings. Herschel Walker. Nowhere to run. Good pursuit out the right side, led by linebacker Winston Moss and the tight end, the defensive end, Jim Scow, number 71. And it'll be a 1-yard pickup, a little less than that for Walker.
Tim, you have to really be impressed how this Tampa Bay defense works. They're in a basic 3-man line, but their 2 inside linebackers key, and one will fill the side the running back goes to. Now, here we go. Minnesota's ready to start.
2nd down and 9. Gannon complete once again to Jones out to the 24-yard line. Hassan Jones will give the Vikings a first down. And zeros are up on the scoreboard. That's the end of the first quarter. With the score, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 7, Minnesota Vikings nothing. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 7-0 Tampa Bay lead. The Vikings now working left to right. On first down, Herschel Walker, and he has nowhere to go. Another fine defensive effort by the Buccaneers, led by Jim Scow once again, the defensive end. And the linebacker, number 59, Kevin Murphy, in for Thomas.
The Vikings, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, have 2 linebackers standing here in the middle. The reason why they're able to shut this play off is as soon as Walker goes this way, this linebacker steps in the hole. If he goes this way, this linebacker steps in the hole. So in effect, they wind up with the same kind of a defense the Minnesota Vikings run, a 5 under, 5 over. You see 54 there stepping in the hole. Walker wanted to cut back and couldn't because 54 plugged it up. Here comes the gang to stop it.
Irvin Randall. And Gannon under pressure, runs it up the middle. Now this guy can scoot, folks. That's a first down at the 39. The Buccaneers do not want to see him out of that pocket. They respect his running ability.
Tim, you are absolutely right. The Buccaneer defense does not want this to happen because when Rich Gannon pulls the ball down, he is no longer a quarterback. He is really an excellent runner. He's like another halfback out there. Picked up a key first down.
And you could see the frustration of Kurt Jarvis on that play, number 95. The nose tackle got back off the play, and no way could catch up with Gannon once he took off. Play action, good fake. Release man, Finney. Only about 2. Again, solid defensive play by Tampa Bay. Mark Robinson made the tackle on Finney. Safety number 30, and Kevin Murphy, number 59, the linebacker. Murphy getting some time now, switching with Broderick Thomas. Leaves a 2nd and 8.
Brett Bruni is the defensive chief there, a gentleman with the bald head, and he's always been a very innovative defensive coach, Tim, but very conservative. He believes in keeping his free safety in the middle of the field and not give up the home run. So Gannon's going to have to throw short passes today to be successful in the air.
2nd and 8 for the Vikings. Herschel, maybe 2. Tripped up by Reuben Davis, number 79, and finished off by Harry Hamilton, number 39. You know, Rich Gannon was drafted in the 4th round by New England back in 1987. And the Vikings really had a good feeling about him. The New England team drafted them, and Mike Lynn, the GM of the Vikings, was very disappointed. But Gannon wanted to play quarterback. The Patriots wanted him to be involved in other positions. So the Vikings just waited and hoped that they'd get a trade opportunity, and they did. Rice and Everett were in the ball game defensively. On 3rd down. It's complete to Carter, and it's dropped by Anthony Carter on the hit by Rodney Rice. Carter had it, Rice hit him, and it came out.
Tim, that's one of those passes where the quarterback is called, gets credited for an incomplete pass, but this was really right on target. Anthony Carter had this in his hands, just simply dropped it. There it is. Should have been a catch. Didn't tuck it away before he turned upfield. Incomplete pass.
Boy, good point. He dropped it before the hit. You can see on the replay. Good punt by Newsom. Going to be down inside the 5. Harry Newsom pumping the air. There are no flags down, and that young man might have saved his job with that punt. 54 yards. .48 to go here. We're just underway in the 2nd quarter. Tim Ryan with Irv Cross, and there is Harry Newsom, who just unloaded a 54-yard punt. And that's the young man who took all the heat last week. As Irv told you, the poor guy's been trying to make up to his teammates all week, trying to buy him lunch and couldn't find the deli. I mean, that is one of the better stories of the week for the Minnesota Vikings. And Newsom has been served notice by Jerry Burns. He's got to produce today or else. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers, backed up by Newsom's punt, get nothing on 1st down. Gary Anderson stuffed at the line of scrimmage at the 5. Jerry Burns quite open about, he said, look, it wasn't just the fact that the guy dropped the snap last week. He said, I had planned to bring him in on Monday and talk to him that he had to kick better for us. His average wasn't good. He wasn't getting the hang time they were required. Wasn't going where we wanted to with the ball. He said he was already in trouble with me. He said, I'm not blaming him for dropping the ball. That could happen to anybody. But today he's got to do it or else. 2nd and 9. About a 4-yard pickup for Gary Anderson. Merriweather again on the tackle. You get the feeling that Merriweather is just simply tracking Gary Anderson, because Anderson's carrying the ball so much. Merriweather's made about 4 or 5 tackles already, Irv.
Well, Tim, from the I formation, when Anderson's in that formation, Merriweather, as the linebacker away from him, will key on him oftentimes. And his job today will be to try to keep Anderson under control, particularly keeping him inside, not letting him get outside for the big gainers.
10 carries already for Gary Anderson, 50 yards. 3rd down, long 3. And the Bucs may have used up too much time. Or did they take the timeout? Yes, they did. Vinny Testaverde evidently didn't like what he saw there on a big 3rd down play deep. We'll be right back. Tampa on top. Brian, a nerve cross where the Buccaneers at the Metrodome have a third and a long 3. What was it Vinny didn't like? Took the timeout, Irv.
Well, Minnesota came out in their dime defense with Audrey McMillan on the field instead of Studwell, so all of his receivers are covered. Now he's going to run against it, you see.
Look at Anderson recover, but a good job by the Vikings. Flags everywhere, however. No gain, maybe a loss of about a half yard as it finished up. Merriweather and Dolman there. Anderson prevented a bigger loss with some dipsy-doodling.
What happens, Tim, is that the Vikings have a nickel defense where Merriweather and Studwell, the middle linebacker, will be on the field to cover pass coverage. But in this case, Floyd Peters, the defensive coach for the Vikings, put a dime defense on the field, putting 6 defensive backs out there, and Audrey McMillan then was taking Studwell's spot. So they didn't have a receiver matched up the way they wanted it.
McMillan and
illegal motion. Number 84 on the offense. That penalty is declined. We have a crackback. Number 84 on the offense. That penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
So 2 penalties against the offense on the play, and you saw Burns and Floyd Peters vigorously telling their players on the field to decline, and it is 4th down with the Royals standing in the end zone to punt. And Carter waiting for it near midfield. High punt from Royals. Good hang time and a fair catch by Carter. Still, the Vikings come away with good field position at their own 45-yard line. That was a 43-yard punt. Well, look what's coming up this week on CBS Sports. The championship series of the National League. Thursday, game 1, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Jack Buck, Tim McCarver, and James Brown will bring you all the action. And we're at that time of year, folks. We'll keep you up to date on the ball scores this afternoon. Thrilling pennant races going to the wire. Finney gets close to 5 yards, near midfield. A 7-0 Tampa Bay lead here at the Metrodome. Randall and Murphy on the tackle.
Tim, when you get into a hard-hitting, tough game, you want to back like Finney because that's his style of football. He's a tremendous power runner inside the tackles. You want to get tough yardage on short yardage situations. Number 31, Finney, Rick Finney, is the man to get it for you, carrying about 230 pounds and got tremendous strength. He's a big weightlifter.
Herschel Walker hit at the line of scrimmage. Reuben Davis made the first contact, and Tim Newton saying hello to his old Viking teammates. There's a look at Bob Schnelker, the offensive coordinator of the Vikings. Still has that title, but kind of an interesting thing that, well, Bob is obviously involved in the staff. Tom Moore has really become the offensive boss, and I guess it must be just that good bond of loyalty between Jerry Burns and Bob Schnelker decided to stay on.
There's no question about that, Tim, but you have to wonder, how Schnelker feels being moved down a notch and still having some input in this offense.
On 3rd down, it's Carter breaking loose to the 30-yard line of Tampa Bay. First big play by the Vikings, and Gannon delivers. Randall on the stop.
Tim, the reason why Anthony Carter is such a threat as a receiver is he has great speed and get deep, but he can also catch a short pattern inside, which he likes to do, and break tackles, and has tremendous running ability once he gets upfield. Anthony Carter, again, making a patented Carter catch and run.
19 yards, 1st down, Tampa Bay 30. Finney, good hole-out tackle. Viking 1st down at the 18. Eugene Marv stopped him there, so the Vikings starting to move it.
Tim, the thing that's most impressive about this drive for Minnesota is that look at number 16, the quarterback out there, gaining more and more confidence as this game evolves. He's got a little thing going here. A little pass to Carter that goes for a big game, hand the ball to Finney, gets a good game. All of a sudden, he's falling into the flow and rhythm of this offense.
Well, they spotted the ball back a little farther than I thought, so a measurement required, but they have it anyway. 1st down at the 20. Talking with Rich Gannon, you didn't get the sense that he was at all scared about playing this game. He made a point strongly. Hey, I've been here for 4 years. I know the offense. I get the reps. I'm ready to play. but I'm also putting the pressure on my teammates. I've got a lot of stars on this team. I'm expecting them to help me. It's not all up to me. Finney gets 3 or 4 down to the 18-yard line. Now they're inside that so-called red zone, inside the 20-yard line, and they've had great success passing the football in here, Irv, this year.
Well, the key thing, though, is, Tim, they've gotten touchdowns. A year ago, they would get inside the 20-yard line and die. You see, only about 45% of their attempts were good. This year, they've been there almost 67% of the time. They've done it all through the air with passes, but whether you run or pass, I guess, doesn't really matter as long as you get in there. Gets it in there. Burns would like to run it in to prove that the Vikings are a tough football team.
Got a 2nd and long 7 here. And gets time, and to the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Hassan Jones. Very good coverage by Ricky Reynolds, the cornerback, number 29.
Ricky Reynolds, Tim, is playing on the left corner. Now, his job is to cover Hassan Jones one-on-one. Now, he has to be careful down here inside the 20-yard line because he has to protect his inside. One of the easiest passes to throw down here is a quick post. But Ricky Reynolds plays it real well, playing it real tough from the inside out, breaking up the play.
Breaking up our picture along with it. We're down at the 17-yard line on 3rd down. Ricky Reynolds, 4-year man from Washington State. Rice and Everett come into the secondary. Chris Carter comes in offensively to join the Vikings wide receiving corps. Now they've got to throw the ball inside the red zone. Cannon up the middle, complete. Short of the 1st down. Steve Jordan, the tight end, had to stretch out, but he was down. It'll leave 4th and an interesting call.
Oh, boy. He's going to kick it. He's going to kick it. You get a field goal here, Tim. You have 3 points on the board. The next score puts you ahead. So there's no point in taking a risk and trying to go for the touchdown or the 1st down when you can get a sure 3 points.
You saw Burns. He didn't hesitate at all. You saw Jerry Burns. Bing.
Yeah.
He motioned, kick it. We'll take the 3.
This guy doesn't miss a kick like this. Now, he hasn't yet, right?
From the 19-yard line, it'll be a 29-yarder. Newsom, the holder, the former Buccaneer Igwe Wike, happy to try and get some points up against his old team.
You know, Tim, those shoes Iggy is wearing are his old Tampa Bay Buccaneer shoes. Now, the black stripes on them, under those black stripes, if you look at it closely, you'll see a little orange seeping through, and he just painted them black to cover it up because he feels those shoes are comfortable and he feels good with them.
Probably a little added satisfaction, too, then, if he makes this. It'll be officially a 28-yard try, just inside the 29 marker. And it's good. So the Vikings on the board, a few scattered boos who wanted the Vikes to go for it, but it's a 4-point game with 5:55 to play 1st half. Danny Peebles, number 83, a 66-yard kickoff return. It just occurred. We'll show it to you now.
He gets the ball on the 9-yard line. Tim, you can see now why it's important to try that ball deep in the end zone. Now, Peebles is a world-class sprinter. He was the NCAA 100-meter and 200-meter champion. This guy can fly, gets the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in good shape.
Just 2 yards short of the longest Tampa Bay kickoff return. Testaverde gets away from Merriweather and hits an open man, Reggie Cobb. But Testaverde turns that into about a 4-yard gain, and he was looking at about a 24-yard loss.
Merriweather coming in on a blitz here, Tim, is in pretty good shape to put pressure on Testaverde. As he comes through, you can see he's clear, makes contact right away, but Testaverde is a very strong man. One of the things Troy Peters told me about him is that when we hit him, we have to hit him and wrap him up because he can shake off tacklers. Throws a completed pass.
So it is 2nd down.
Yep.
And a long 6, we'll say. Testaverde complete to Hill. Gypsy doodles away from Lee and picks up the 1st down. Tampa to the 25-yard line. And let us just clarify the kickoff return. It was 65 yards and is the longest return by a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. The previous was 50 yards by Phil Freeman.
Testaverde taking a quick drop here. Now Dolman looks again like he's going to put the heat on him. He does, but gets the ball away here. Short 3-step drop, quick out to Bruce Hill. Makes the catch and good yardage.
At the 26-yard line, Gary Anderson inside. Gets about 5. When Anderson played at San Diego, there were a lot of folks who wondered whether or not he could carry the ball inside on a regular basis, not being a huge guy. He's about 190 pounds. When you talk to Anderson about it, he says, hey, I can go inside, outside, whatever they ask me to. And he's not worried about doing it.
Not at all, Tim. He's a tremendous athlete. He is a running back, and running backs will run with the ball anywhere. Just give it to him.
Anderson again. Flag is down as he's forced out of bounds at about the 19 by Studwell. Red Cashin will have the call for us here. Scott Studwell will give us a preview that it's against Tampa Bay.
During the run, number 82 on the offense. It's still second down.
Ron Hall, the tight end, is charged with holding, and that backs it up to the 32-yard line. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross were at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota, for a 65-yard kickoff return by Danny Peebles. As the Buccaneers threatening again, they have just scored a field goal in their previous possession, or the Vikings scored a field goal in their previous possession to bring the score to 7-3 after the Bucs had opened early in the first period. Testaverde for Hill, incomplete. Make it for Ron Hall, intended receiver number 82. The tight end Ron Hall.
You could easily mistake him for Hill, though, Tim, because he has tremendous speed for a tight end. He's one of the fastest tight ends in the league. As a matter of fact, he was timed at one time at about 4.4 or 4.5 in a 40-yard dash, which is really sprinter speed.
Number 76 on the offense. Still second down.
Well, Scott Dill, we said we'd be watching him against the aggressive Keith Millard, and he has picked up his first holding penalty. So the Bucs going backwards here. They're now back at the 42-yard line of Minnesota, and they were all the way down at the 25. Back at the 19 on that run by Anderson at one point. Four receivers spread out for Testaverde. Testaverde looked like he was thinking about sliding twice, but he said, gee, they're giving me a little more real estate. Might as well keep buying it.
He will run if he has to. He doesn't want to, but he played it smart, though, Tim. Once he got to the point where he realized he was getting into the collision zone, he found the ground. That's what he should do.
Michael Brim finally the guy to stop him, but a 20-yard run, and he's got him back now in a reasonable third down situation at the 22-yard line. He needs a long 6 for a first down. So Testaverde, who was a good scrambler, as all of the Miami Hurricanes fans recall, showing his running ability there. Time winding down, first half. Incomplete. Intended for Anderson, Jesse Anderson, the rookie tight end from Mississippi State. And so Testaverde's run goes for naught in terms of first downs, but it brings up a field goal opportunity for Steve Christie. Christie asking for the spot just inside the 30. The punter Royals will hold.
He shouldn't have any trouble with this kick, Tim. Ray Perkins told us in practice this week he kicked a field goal 69 yards.
Flags are down. Christie right down the middle. A 39-yarder is good. Let's see who the flag is against. He had a 55-yarder last week against Detroit. And it looks like it's going to be against the Buccaneers, so he may have to try it farther back.
You wonder what Noga and Moss are doing in that huddle. They're trying to straighten out the officials.
Yeah, they'll help any way they can. Ray Perkins awaiting the outcome of this. Says Christie's got a tremendously strong leg. Ben Dreith made the call, and Red Cashin will make an announcement at some point.
Offside, defense. Penalty is declined. Field goal.
Well, it looked like it was going to be against Tampa Bay, and it turns out to be against the Vikings, an offside call. So the 3-point stands. And Tampa Bay has opened the lead to 10-3 with 2:07 to play in the first half at the Metrodome. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross, Metrodome, Minneapolis, Minnesota. 2:07 to play first half. A 39-yard field goal by Steve Christie from William and Mary. Oakville, Ontario native, has given the Buccaneers a 10-3 lead. 6 plays, 15 yards, and 3:48 off the clock, and a 22-yard run by Testaverde after a couple of penalties that backed them up, put them in position for the field goal. Alan Rice from the 10 gets to the 13 of the Minnesota Vikings. Brought down there by Jamie Lawson, reserve fullback number 38. Just an 8-yard return, so good coverage by the Bucs, and we have reached the 2-minute warning here at the Metrodome. We'll be right back. A 10-3 football game. The visiting Buccaneers on top. They opened the scoring early and have just added a field goal from 39 yards out by Steve Christie. Minnesota has the ball with 3 timeouts remaining, 1:57 left to play first half. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross watching Rich Gannon in his first start in regular season play at the 18-yard line. Once Tommy Kramer was gone, Gannon became number 2, and sure enough, the injury to Wade Wilson giving him his shot. The 2-minute drill by Gannon now. Dropped up the middle, a low pass intended for the tight end Jordan. Incomplete. Gannon checking for the sideline signal.
Tim, this is a good measure. You'll be able to find out just how well Gannon will stand up under pressure in a 2-minute drill. The quarterback really runs the offense and controls the clock. Now, the incomplete pass can get the signal from the sideline, but this is his series of plays.
Deflected high, and it was caught by Steve Jordan. Harry Hamilton got a hand on it for the Bucs. Jordan and Hassan Jones both had a shot at it when it came down, and the tight end came up with it. 3rd and 2. Carter. First down to the 39, 1:18 and counting down, but timeout is called by the Vikings. Reynolds and Murphy on the hit.
It was a tremendous throw on Gannon's part. Carter ran a quick slant where he just bends inside at a 45-degree angle to the inside of the formation. You'll see him out here flanked to the bottom of your screen, number 81. Now, once he goes upfield, a real sharp break inside. Now, what this happens here now is because Jordan was able to knock off the defensive back, we call it an old-fashioned pick pattern like in basketball. Carter breaks free, makes the catch.
Mark Robinson had a shot at Carter just when the ball arrived, but lost him. And he won't be the first or last guy to lose Anthony Carter. NFL action next Sunday on CBS. Of course, you've got this bye the first week kicking in. New Orleans and Atlanta will be back in action next week. In fact, Irv and I will be there for that game. Some of you will see Detroit at Minnesota, and these Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be in Dallas. Check your local listings for the time and game in your area. It's 12:30 Eastern time next week. First down, Vikings. 1:18 still to play. Gannon, a lot of room up the middle. Slides in. to the 44-yard line. Still in the hurry up. 1:05 on the clock. 45 of Tampa Bay. Caught. Chris Carter, the former Eagle. First down, 35-yard line at Tampa Bay.
Tim, what you're seeing now is the fact that Bernsey split his offense 50-50 between Wilson and Gannon, and it's paying off here. He's handled this 2-minute offense in practice every day.
It's second down, actually, in about a foot. It gets the first down. A flag flies as Jordan made the catch. It looked like Carter had already picked up the first down, but it was second and about a football on that one.
Well, it's funny, Tim, when you ask Bernsey about his young quarterback, are you concerned about him? He says, well, he's really not concerned about him because when a player goes down, a starting player goes down, as Wade Wilson does, when a substitute comes in, he expects that substitute to play up to a starter's level. He doesn't expect any production to drop off anywhere.
Well, Gannon certainly is coming on with that attitude.
Number 69 of the offense, 10 yards, second down.
Todd Kalis charged with being illegally downfield. That'll bring it back to the 45-yard line at Tampa Bay. And coming up shortly at halftime, Greg and Terry will have scores and highlights from around the league and latest information as to the news aspects of the NFL, so stay with us at halftime. That's going to leave a second down and 10 at the 45-yard line. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining and 28 seconds on the clock. And now the Vikings have to take another one. So the first glitch here in the machine, you can see Gannon's upset. And Burns saying, take it easy, we'll be okay. There's Tom Moore, the offensive boss on the field.
Part of the problem, Tim, was they were trying to get the right personnel on the field. Rick Finney was on the field, had to come off, and Chris Carter went in, and then he made a switch again, and Finney went back in again. So Gannon was in the huddle, ready to call the play, but he didn't have the personnel he wanted out there. So the clock ran down on them, and they were forced to take a timeout at a time when they really, I'm sure, would like to have it.
Well, again, we talked about how Gannon has had plenty of preparation because they do split the repetitions in practice between the top 2 quarterbacks in Minnesota, unlike some other teams. But it also goes to show that things can still go wrong in that 2-minute drill. And here where you get a little momentum, they take a penalty that hurt them to Kalis. And now all of a sudden the Bucs start to feel, hey, we can stop them here. We got them back at our 45. See how Gannon responds. 28 seconds left. 10-3 Buccaneer lead. Good time. He's got Carter open, but he overthrows him. Anthony Carter open at the 10-yard line. Gannon off the mark. Gannon getting the next play. Third down, 22 seconds left. Vikings have a high regard for this guy. Mike Lynn, the general manager here, said we had him as our #1 quarterback back in 1987 when he was drafted by New England. We had him ahead of Chris Miller. Testaverde was already gone to Tampa Bay. 3rd and 11. 3 receivers on the near side. They go to the opposite side. Chris Carter, and just overthrown. Rodney Rice on the coverage. So they showed 3 receivers in the Hail Mary look on the right, went the other side to the newly acquired Chris Carter.
A nice change-up, Tim. Chris Carter, ball slightly overthrown. The Vikings called it squadron right, squadron left. They went squadron right with 3 receivers on the other side, thinking making Tampa Bay Buccaneers feel we're going to throw that way because they've always done that. This time they change up, go back to Chris Carter on the backside. The ball was overthrown.
Yeah, just a little bit, though. It was a close call. There's Harry Newsom ready to punt, standing at the 40-yard line. And kicks a good high ball. Comes down in the end zone. And so the Bucs will have 7 seconds to play with if they choose here from the 20-yard line. And some boos again from disgruntled Vikings fans who wanted the Vikings to take one more whack at it on 4th down.
Tim, I don't think those boos are justified, and I'll tell you why. When people said, okay, Minnesota's playing Tampa Bay, the Vikings always beat Tampa Bay in Minnesota, right? This Tampa Bay football team was a pretty good football team. Ray Perkins has convinced me, as he has to most people that watch this team, that this club is young, but they're tough, and they're the kind of a football team that's highly competitive.
And Ray Perkins is going to do the percentage thing. Just get out of here, take that 7-point lead to the locker room. And some unhappy Vikings fans venting their spleens. And coverage of the NFL continues after this message and a word from your local station.
And those of you who have been watching Tampa and Minnesota, welcome back to our studios in New York, everyone. Along with Terry Bradshaw, I'm Greg Gumbel. Let's run through the scores for you, beginning with the game at the Meadowlands. The New York Giants leading the Dallas Cowboys 17-3 at halftime of this game. Phil Simms, 12 yards to Mark Ingram on this play.
Corner jumps inside. Simms has the perfect route and out route. There's the catch. Notice Ingram had the right foot down inbounds, but the left foot, when they played it back, was touched to out of bounds. Notice it's out of bounds, so that's an incompletion. But Giants got the next play off before they could review it. Touchdown.
And Phil Simms came back with a 7-yard touchdown pass to Bob Morosco here.
Morosco, the tight end, all he does is go down and says, whoa, this is zone coverage. I'll get between the linebackers. Simms, with that strong arm, pops the ball in there.
So far, Simms having his way with the Dallas defense this afternoon, 17-3 at halftime. At Philadelphia, that game approaching the half, the Eagles lead the Colts 17-7. Randall Cunningham has hit Keith Jackson with a 35-yard touchdown pass in this game. At the game you are watching now, Minnesota trailing Tampa by a score of 10-3. Quarterback Wade Wilson watching this one in street clothes with the injured hand. Rich Gannon substituting for him. You said in the pregame, Terry, Gary Anderson had to run the ball.
They're running the ball, and notice they're running out of split backs, and the reason for that, it's easier for your guards and your centers to get through on a middle linebacker. Also, the fronts go over and under, and when you're in split backs, all the quarterback does stand up there, looks at it, and goes to the wide tackles. Real easy running.
Testaverde not having a great day throwing the ball for Tampa Bay, but they do lead it by a score of 10-3 at halftime. Detroit and Green Bay, the Lions hosting the Packers, and the Pack leads this one by a field goal. Detroit has just had a touchdown called back and then missed a field goal. Little instruction for the offensive line of the Lions, and then Barry Sanders takes off for a 17-yarder.
Well, they wanted to throw the football, become accurate. At least that's what they told us. Miles Davis said we need to be more accurate to get our running game going, but the running game's working fine.
Rodney Peete pretty accurate here with the 4-yarder to Robert Clark for the touchdown to put the Lions up 7-0. And then Don Majkowski came back with some pretty good faking here to fool everybody.
Good job, but everybody does play action at the goal line. None better than Majkowski and Ed West with his 3rd touchdown reception of the year. All of them off of play action passes.
We repeat, the Lions, take a look at the replay. The Lions had a touchdown called back. They missed a field goal, so right now the Packers lead it 10-7. Meanwhile, at Buffalo, the Bills have just kicked a field goal as they go to halftime. The Broncos lead it by a score of 14-3. Miami and Pittsburgh, the Steelers still trying to get the offense on track, haven't been able to do it. Just 1 first down in the first half for the Steelers. They trail the Dolphins by a score of 21-3. Updating the Victor Kiam story in New England. After again publicly apologizing to reporter Lisa Olson, Kiam stated on the NFL Today that management changes would be forthcoming. He hinted at a suspension of general manager Patrick Sullivan and called for Patriots players to step forward and apologize. Kiam has just told us he will address the squad before and after today's game against the Jets, and that what he has to say is, quote, much more important than football. And of course, we'll continue to monitor the situation for you. Major League Baseball will begin first with the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox leading the AL East by 2 games, but trailing Toronto today, 4-1 that game in the 3rd inning. In the National League East, the Pittsburgh Pirates and St. Louis Cardinals just underway in St. Louis, scoreless in the 1st inning, while the New York Mets, who trail the Pirates by 4 games, are trailing the Cubs 2-0 that game in the 3rd inning. And our coverage of the Major League Baseball Championship Series will begin Thursday night with the NLCS Game 1, 8 o'clock Eastern Time here on CBS. We'll take a time out and we will continue after this word from your local station.
Back at the Metrodome, Minneapolis, Minnesota, it is halftime, and the visiting Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a lead of 10-3. Now, this series is only 24 games old, but they've had some wild finishes. Vinny Testaverde brought the Bucs back here at the Metrodome in 1988 in an effort to win it right at the end. Look what happened.
long, and this one is tipped, and Soring's got it at the 21, but can they
stop the clock?
Can they get down there
quickly? You can't stop the clock. They can throw the ball out of bounds one time. They got to stop
9
the clock.
seconds, 8 seconds, 7,
Just
6,
stop the clock.
5,
Stop it. Just stop
4,
it.
3,
No, stop it.
1. They can't get it off.
They should have just taken it.
Well, they did kick the ball. The field goal was good, but time had expired, and the Vikings won. Right now, they trail by 7 at halftime. We'll be right back. Back here at the Metrodome, Minneapolis, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in with a 2-1 mark against the Vikings 1-2, have a 10-3 halftime lead. Tim Ryan with Irv Cross here. And Irv, you had a chance to talk to some members of the Vikings defensive staff before this game and what their defensive goals were you referred to back in the first half. Let's take a closer look at it under cross-examination.
All right, well, the first thing you want to do is control first down, but here the Buccaneers are in an I formation. Anderson, the tailback. Now, any time the Buccaneers are in this formation with the wide receiver coming in motion, you'll see somebody coming to your screen from the left side of the camera, from your picture in a second, on a crackback. Anderson taking the ball off his left guard is met by Studwell for about a 3-yard gain. Now, in that situation, the Minnesota Vikings on first down won. Their parameters are, if we hold the Buccaneers for 4 yards and less, we win on first down. If they get more than 4 yards on first down, we lose. Now, you can see the first running play, 3 yards, they won. The second running play, Tampa Bay got 21 yards, they lost. Now, let's see what they did as the game progressed. So they had 6 wins and 3 losses all total when you look at all the first down plays in the first half. Now, as far as the Minnesota Vikings defensive staff is concerned, they're doing what they want to do. Now, the one big loss they've had was a long pass here. Now, on first down, the touchdown run, I'm sorry, a 10-yard run. Well, it's a 2-yard touchdown run by Anderson, but they had a 10-yard run in there in that series that really hurt them. So the difference in the game...
It was that 21-yard run by Anderson that was in this series that led to that touchdown, too.
Yeah, but the difference in the game so far, with the Vikings trailing here, is a kicking game. That long kickoff return put them in pretty bad shape, even though Tampa Bay only got 3 points out of it.
That's right. Well, it's a big 3 points. It's a 4-point situation that now with a 10-3 lead, and the visiting Buccaneers on top. There's Jerry Burns hoping someone can get his offense on track here in the second half with young Rich Gannon at quarterback, and we're about ready to go. Kickoff taken deep by Peebles, who brings it up to the 24-yard line, and the Buccaneers will have first possession here in this second half, holding their 7-point lead. And the very confident discussion we had with Ray Perkins, the coach last night, so far holding up in the play of his Buccaneers in this first half. Vinny Testaverde has not been asked to throw the ball very much, which means Coach Perkins is getting the running attack he wanted.
He does, but again, referring back to the Viking defense, they had 9 first down situations in the first half. They won 6. So as far as their defensive game plan is concerned, they're right where they want to be.
Anderson stuffed by Dolman on first down there.
Well, when you have 2 all-star linemen standing side by side, Chris Dolman, number 56, and Keith Ballard, number 75, it's a tough, long day for any offensive lineman. Chris Dolman, 56, crashing down to the inside. Gets the ball carried before he gets a chance to get started. That's Viking football. That's what they want on first down.
No gain, 2nd and 10. Gary Anderson. Again, very little running room. Ray Berry, number 50, the linebacker on the left side, getting in on it, and a flag down in the Bucs backfield, and the indication is against Tampa Bay. So the Vikings defense coming out storming here again, doing their job.
72 on the offense, still 2nd down.
Rob Taylor, the right tackle, charged with the hold.
Well, Tim, it's funny you talk about the Vikings coming out storming. They have a defense called Storm, where the defensive end, Chris Dolman, crashes down to the inside. I think we just saw a storm move on that last play.
Yeah, well, he did it on first down, too, Dolman himself. 2nd and 20. Testaverde calling out to his wide receivers here, changing something. Goes to the short man and out to the 20-yard line. Picked up about 7. Reggie Cobb out of the backfield to catch the pass. Still going to leave 3rd and very long. 3 receivers come onto the field now for Tampa Bay. Studwell and Berry come off to be replaced by 2 secondary men for the Vikings. Pillow and Drury and John Harvey into the lineup, splitting across the field for Testaverde on 3rd and 14. Testaverde got the pass up. He was very near the sideline. It's incomplete no matter what. Drury was already out of bounds. So a very good defensive series by the Floyd Peters Vikings there, forcing Tampa Bay to punt on their first possession in the second half. Royal standing at his 5. Carter waiting for it at the Vikings 39. Minnesota will have good field position no matter what. Carter signaled fair catch, but the ball takes a very good Buccaneers bounce. All the way down inside the 20.
Tim, Tampa Bay picked up 22 yards on that roll. Anthony Carter coming up, assimilating a fair catch, decides not to take it. The ball hit the AstroTurf, and the Vikings lost 22 yards on that roll.
62 yards it turns out to be for Royals, and the Buccaneers get a tremendous break there. Now there's Joan Gannon, mother of Rich Gannon. Came to watch her son play today, and look at that. Looks like a mom, doesn't it? Penny on first down out to the 25-yard line. And there's son Rich. Marv made the tackle on Rick Penny.
Tim, that was a big tackle for Marv because he now has 1,000 tackles in his career, which is a tremendous milestone for a linebacker.
Flags fly as the Vikings pick up the first down yardage on the run by Finney. And let's see what happens here as it's back in the Vikings. It's a holding call against Minnesota. A costly call there on a good play. Eugene Marv, a good acquisition in '88 in the deal with the Buffalo Bills.
Holding during the run, number 63 on the offense, still 2nd down.
Now that's charged against the center, Kirk Loudermilk. Loudermilk making the start today after being a holdout last week. Came in and got his job back from Chris Foote, who had been starting the first couple of games for Minnesota.
Well, Tim, in the defensive scheme the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run, they have a player right over Loudermilk's head, the nose tackle. And the nose right now looks like Kirk Jarvis, and he was the man Loudermilk helped in that last play.
2nd and 14. Gannon play action to Carter. Carter pays the price inside. Took 2 hits. One from Broderick Thomas, the other from Mark Robinson. Held onto the ball and picked up about 8 yards.
The thing that makes this play go, Tim, is the fact that with this play action fake, both linebackers step inside to play run. No one's there. Take it out, throw the ball to Anthony Carter on a quick slant. A tremendous idea in terms of getting those linebackers to step up, throw the ball behind them for the completion.
There's AC, came into the game with 8 catches. Jones and the 2 Carters now on 3rd and 2. Chris and Anthony from the shotgun formation. Gannon gets protection and has Hassan Jones. He can't hold on. Eric Everett had the coverage, may have got a hand in there. The ball hit Hassan Jones, normally sure-handed, seemed to pop up, and just at that moment, Everett arrived and broke it up. So it is 4th down.
Chip, sorry, I would guess there was some kind of contact there. Either the defensive back touched him as the ball arrived or something, because he is just too good a receiver to drop a ball like that.
Another flag down as the punt from Newsom is taken by Drury at the 39-yard line. And we'll have to wait on yet another penalty back at the line of scrimmage. Newsom is an interested spectator here with referee Red Cash, and a 37-yarder for Newsom. And you can see Newsom now talking to the Vikings staff on the sideline. He's expecting to kick it over again.
There's no flag.
Well, Red, there was a flag.
Foul. The flag was thrown. It's picked up. There's no foul.
Right, Red.
Whoa, the flag was thrown where?
The flag was flown, but there's no foul. And so we have 10:46 to go in the third. Tampa Bay leads 10-3. Boy, there's one unhappy Viking. That's Hub Mead there. Look at the look on his face. His brow is furrowed. He is beaten down, but he puts the horns back on. Get those Vikings defenders working here on 1st down. Tampa Bay at their own 38. Good field position following the punt. Buccaneers lead by 7. Got a 5-yard pickup. Thomas and Merriweather combining on Gary Anderson.
Tim, one of the keys for the Vikings today on 1st down in particular is for number 97, Henry Thomas, to be real tough in the middle. Last week, the Chicago Bears double-teamed him, drove him off the ball, allowing him to get big yardage on 1st down. Now, this week, the Vikings came in with him because Thomas had a bad foot last week, came in thinking that if Thomas could stay tough in there on the center, hold the corner, that Dolman and Millard could clean up.
Reggie Cobb, good hold. 1st down, Buccaneers to the 46, and I tell you what, Scott Dill is doing okay against Millard on that play.
Well, he did all right against Millard, but the point again at the nose, number 97, Henry Thomas, has to hold firm here. You see, he gets turned, he's moving to the outside, but gets turned outside, and the back cuts off his move, finds a hole inside for the 1st down.
12-yard gain for the rookie from Tennessee. Browner finally made the stop on him, and the Buccaneers continue to run with success. Cobb again. Stopped that time right at the line of scrimmage. Scott Studwell, the linebacker number 55, coming off a less than distinguished performance last week. Look at the determination on that veteran's face.
Tim, when you grade his performance, yes, it wasn't very good. But Scott Studwell calls every single defensive maneuver for the Minnesota Vikings. And the way they do it, he has to call the defense by formation. Now, right now, he's called a defensive call, anticipating something. Now, when they come to the line of scrimmage, he now calls the defense. And that's quite a responsibility. No one does it better than Studwell.
191 games, 35 years of age in his 14th year. Play action from Testaverde, and it's complete to the tight end, Anderson, Jesse Anderson. They move it down to the 31 of Minnesota. Ray Perkins mixing things up now effectively for Tampa Bay. Number 3 pick this year, Jesse Anderson, can run a 40 in 4.45, and Ron Hall, the starting tight end, has real good speed. A lot of exciting young talent on this Tampa Bay team. Gary Anderson. Joey Browner got him from behind, or he's in the end zone to the 9-yard line. And the Boo Birds are out again. 22-yard run.
All right, Tim, Boo Birds are out, but this is a well-blocked play. With open backfield, you can see number 62, the left guard, the right guard who pulled. There's the trap block. Blocking the linebacker Studwell, creating the vacancy. Now it's all up to the running back, and Gary Anderson, with tremendous open field running abilities, gets a big gain.
1st and goal inside the 10. Cobb Good defensive work. Merriweather again. And Thomas make it, number 97. Henry Thomas and Merriweather there as well. Loss of a yard.
Tim, one reason you can run traps on the Vikings is that every down they're thinking pass rush. So they're very aggressive coming across the line of scrimmage. And what you'd like to do is have a team that's penetrating like that, be able to block them from the inside out. In other words, you bring linemen across the formation and pick up those linemen and the defensive linemen as they penetrate. Trap blocking. The last trap went for a big gain.
So it's second and a little more than 10. Cobb overthrown by Testaverde. Ray Berry alongside him, and I think that Testaverde, seeing that good coverage, made sure that it couldn't be intercepted. Ray Berry, number 50.
Tremendous point, Tim. The difference in Testaverde today than the Testaverde we've seen in the past is he's not throwing interceptions. He's only thrown 2 in the year so far. He has an outlet receiver now. Most of his pass routes, he looks deep, no one's there, dump it off to the short man. And if the short man's covered, throw it out of bounds. He's just not throwing interceptions. Therefore, his rating is the highest in the league so far.
Frank Pillow, John Harvey come in on the passing down. Testaverde gets some time, has his man at the 5. 3 Vikings converge on Pillow, but he holds on to the ball. The third-year man from Tennessee State took quite a lick there. But it'll be 4th down at the 5-yard line, and 2 players slow to get up. Millard, and he is holding his leg. And Pillow is a little slow to get up, but Rutland is also down. We'll be back. We're back at the Metrodome where Keith Millard and Reggie Rutland both hurt. Millard is in pain. He's being taken off, as you can see, on the cart. And we'll give you a view of what happened on his rush.
All right, Tim. Keith Millard coming in on a very aggressive pass rush. Here's Reggie Rutland, who was also injured on the play. But here's Millard, number 75, coming upfield to put pressure on Testaverde. But Gruber, the deep offensive tackle here, comes back and turns and picks him up as he approaches the quarterback. Now watch this, number 74, Gruber, realizes, wait a minute, I better come back and help. Millard goes up, and he gets hit right there on the leg.
Back live, Christie's field goal try is good, and the Vikings managed to stop the touchdown drive, but they give up a field goal of 22 yards to Christie, his second of the game, and that opens the lead to 13-3 for the visiting Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And what a costly play. Millard tried to jump over Gruber and wound up injuring his leg. Meanwhile, Rutland, down where the pass was caught by Pillow, was in a collision, and it looked like he had his bell rung, as the expression goes. He came off a little bit woozy, but was able to leave the field on his feet, whereas Millard was taken off on the cart, and we'll have a report for the report on the injury to the great tackle as soon as we can. Well, be sure to join us when Major League Baseball's postseason action begins here on CBS Sports. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Game 1. So the Buccaneers, with a good drive, culminating in a field goal by Christie, will kick it off, and 6:25 remains third quarter. The Vikings will apparently be without Millard for the rest of this game, it would appear. High kickoff from Christie comes down, this time at the 2, and Walker will bring it up. Walker to the 27-yard line. Sam Ano, a former Viking linebacker, made the stop. Chicago hurting the slender Mets chances there, and Toronto and Boston, if the Red Sox win that ball game, they are in the playoffs. First down, Vikings, their own 27-yard line. They've not been able to get this offense going. I don't think you can lay any blame at the doorstep of Rich Gannon, but credit a good Buccaneers defense. Now Gannon going to the air on first down, overthrows Carter on that one. Anthony Carter. 2nd and 10. And the word on Millard, you may have picked up even over our microphones, a sprained right knee. And I would consider that good news with the way knee injuries go in the NFL. If it's only a sprain, that is a good medical report on Keith Millard. I'll try to follow it up for you. Gannon under pressure, 3 Bucks in pursuit. And he can motor. Tackle out of bounds, and there is a flag. Kevin Murphy got him, and he'll pay a little extra for that. If you saw a sample of Gannon's speed, Irv, you said he runs like a halfback when he gets going.
Well, he was encouraged. Kevin Murphy was chasing him, but when he realized he was under pressure, he decided right away, I'm going to tuck the ball into my arm, take off, get as much yardage as I possibly can. Came up with a big play, and it was the penalty at the end of the run.
It'll be a late hit against Murphy.
Unnecessary roughness by the defense. First down.
Rich Gannon rolling out here. He's trying to go upfield deep to Hassan Jones. Not there. But the defensive end comes inside, creates an opening for him, so he just takes off with it. He is an excellent runner. Now, as near the sideline is out of bounds, was hit there by Kevin Murphy. Kevin Murphy again coming late. There he is out of bounds. That's a no-no. Got to protect every player, including quarterbacks. Get a penalty tacked on it for the end of the run.
47-yard line, first down in Vikings territory. Little roll by Gannon. Nowhere to go. The coverage was solid downfield, and Gannon elected not to throw. That time just got back to the line of scrimmage. Robinson and Marv on the tackle.
Kind of a strange pass pattern, though, Tim. I only saw one receiver upfield, Hassan Jones. It looked like a one-man pattern. There was no one else was in the pass route. So when Gannon looked upfield, he only saw one purple jersey out there and 7 white jerseys. Those aren't very good odds. You don't throw it.
That's Mark Tressman with the Vikings hat on, signaling in the plays, assistant coach. Came over from Cleveland, had been with the Buccaneers. 2nd and 10. Razzle-dazzle to Walker, but the Bucks are all over that. Irvin Randall for the initial contact, the linebacker number 54, and Harry Hamilton. Boy, they didn't buy that at all.
They didn't buy it primarily, Tim, because normally a reverse will work once you get outside runs going. So you run a couple of plays that way, and you get the linebackers thinking you can do it. But here, Herschel Walker spinning back on the reverse really didn't fool anybody. The linebackers keying on him all the way, just went step for step. And Randall coming up with the play.
3-yard loss. 3rd down and 13. 4:15 to go. 3rd quarter. Buccaneers lead at 13-3. Gannon to Carter. Anthony Carter streaking across the center of the field. First down in Bucs territory at the 33.
Anthony Carter split out to the right side of the offensive formation. Is head up here one-on-one on Ricky Reynolds. Now, Reynolds has responsibility for the short area here. It's a zone coverage, but he's going to trail him inside. Carter making a catch. He catches the ball inside, in my opinion, better than any receiver in football. He loves going in there in those quick posts and crossing patterns.
23-yard gain. Finney with a pitch. It's about 3. Battering his way to the 30. Eugene Marv and Kevin Murphy combining. Murphy has had more of the playing time than the second-year man Broderick Thomas at that left linebacker spot. And Murphy's played well. He was the starter a year ago when Thomas came out of Nebraska as a #1 pick, and Murphy kept him on the bench.
Well, last week he was out, Tim, because he had a knee problem. You know, he had a little knee injury and wasn't really ready to go, but apparently that knee problem is something he's handled. He's playing very well today.
Next down. Gannon intended for Walker. Walker is tripped up, and there'll be a flag. Mark Robinson will be charged with interference, and it's one of those interference calls that are awfully tough on the defender because it was more of a feet getting tangled up, but there's no question that he made the contact.
Tim, I can tell you, as a former defensive back and defensive backfield coach, that is a very tough call on the defense. Robinson is saying he ran into me.
Number 30 on the defense, first down.
Okay. Robinson saying he ran into me. I had position. He stopped and took off. Number 30, Robinson, trailing the play, and it just sort of is hung up there. And I would call that incidental contact, but I'm not the official, so I don't make any calls that mean anything. Pass interference on the defense.
So a first down at the 18, and those penalties have been a factor in this football game. Walker wants to throw, and it's overthrown, intended for Anthony Carter. Now, Gary Anderson has the same play for the Buccaneers. I think the difference is he can throw it a little better than Herschel can.
Well, Tim, Herschel has all those big boy pads on. This is a run pass. He goes out there, and you can see pass all the way. Anthony Carter's the intended receiver. We saw him throw that in practice. We said, gee, I wonder if they're really going to throw it in the game Sunday. Well, they did. Incomplete.
So at his second down, it does present yet another Walker threat, however. This guy who can run and catch can also throw it. Again in play action, incomplete. Intended for Anthony Carter, and Gannon just really zipped that in a little too high and hard. Wayne Haddocks had the coverage on him.
So far, that pattern seems to be the most successful thing the Viking offense has been able to do, bringing Anthony Carter on what I call a quick slant, where he takes a couple of steps upfield and then drives inside to a 45-degree angle. Now, that play is working because the Buck linebackers have a tendency to stand in there pretty tight, and what he's doing is getting behind the linebackers in front of the defensive back in that area that's vacated for the pass start.
5 new defenders on the field for Tampa Bay on the third down pass play. Gannon will take off to the 15, leaving fourth down. Wayne Haddocks stopping him there. So the Vikes will have to settle for the field goal here. If successful, would bring them to within a touchdown again. A 32-yard attempt by Donald Igwe-Wike. He's got a 28-yarder in the game. And it is good. So the Vikings have to settle for 3, but they are still very much in the game with a lot of playing time left. 2:02 to go in the third. Tim Ryan at Irv Cross. 2 minutes, 2 seconds left. Third quarter at the Metrodome. Field goal by Donald Igwe-Wike for the Vikings has closed it to a 13-6 ball game. 58 yards in 10 plays. But the Buccaneers keeping the Vikings out of the end zone. And Igwe-Wike kicks the strip kick that's handled by the tight end Hall. And he goes nowhere, but he's at the 29-yard line. And so the Buccaneers will have a reasonably good place to start from with their 7-point lead when we return to Minneapolis in a moment. Tim Ryan with Irv Cross back at the Metrodome. This is Tom Struthers, number 94, is replacing the injured Keith Millard. He came over last year as a Plan B from Detroit and has been a backup. And they also have had to replace Reggie Rutland, who was knocked in the head in a collision with the receiver Pillow and a couple of Vikings teammates, and Audrey McMillan, the nickelback 26, is in the lineup. So 2 starters out of the Vikings defense. First down at the 30, Tampa Bay. Reggie Cobb, nowhere to go. It'll leave 2nd and 10. Noga and Studwell made the tackle. There's Scott Studwell showing a little flesh for us here. 35 years of age, Scott Studwell. and still the key guy out there. Dave mentioned calls all of the defensive plays on the field. Certainly is a team leader and leads the team in tackles again, as he does most years. Coming off a tough week against the Bears last week. Testaverde gets some time, swings it out for Cobb. And Cobb breaks loose. Oh, he was history, folks. Tripped up by Browner. What an effort by Reggie Cobb. Two guys had him, and he broke out of that. And if it wasn't for the All-Pro Browner, he was in the end zone. A 16-yard gain.
Tim, if you're an offensive coach, you say, great run. If you're a defensive coach, you say, lousy tackling. Here goes Cobb, and here comes Studwell. Gets a first shot. He misses him. And number 97, Henry Thomas, knocks off one of his teammates. So he breaks 3 tackles for a sizable gain.
First down out at their own 46. Cobb again. Tripped up by Ray Berry, number 50 this time. You know, talking to Perkins about Cobb yesterday, I mean, I did raise the question. Hey, you changed all your running backs from a year ago. Every guy is new, although Lawson and Harvey were on their roster. They were not regulars. Lawson played a little bit. Harvey was on the development squad. And but he has so much confidence in Reggie Cobb, even though he didn't even finish his college career at Tennessee, as he was dropped from the team because of problems with drugs. So, I mean, these young guys are playing very, very well indeed. The end of the third quarter has the score. Tampa Bay 13, Minnesota Vikings 6. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, that man with that green thing on his ear, Ray Perkins, said yesterday, I hope you guys have a dull game today, because if I can run it every down and win a low-scoring game, I'll take it. He may be en route. Testaverde sacked finally. Henry Thomas got him, number 97. Testaverde has thrown only 11 times in this game today as we begin the fourth quarter.
Henry Thomas playing the nose tackle, the man who penetrates as he beats the offensive center, Randy Grimes. You see number 97 right there coming right up the middle of the field. That's the best pressure you can get. If the nose tackle can beat the center, a quarterback like Testaverde, who likes to step up in the pocket, feels that pressure right away. Thomas comes up with a sack.
First sack of the day by the Vikings, third on the season for Thomas. From the shotgun. Complete drop by Bruce Hill. Had the ball and dropped it. Normally sure-handed Bruce Hill had the strike there and couldn't hold on. So the Vikings defense does the job this time.
Again, good pressure up front. 4 defensive linemen coming in there, applying the heat. Good throw. One of those passes where Bruce Hill said, if I had it thrown to me 10 times, I would catch it 9 out of 10 times. He dropped it that once.
Mark Royals to punt, standing at his 27. Carter waiting for it at the 20 of Minnesota. Fair catch, Carter at the 25 of the Vikings. And we have 14:22 remaining regulation time. Tampa Bay leads by 7. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross, you know, that's a very good summary. It really says it all, because Anderson, 81 yards. They've rushed it 26 times, Irv. Testaverde's only thrown 12 passes, and despite the penalties, they've got a lead of a touchdown.
Well, one of the things the Vikings are most proud of is the fact they haven't given up 100 yards rushing by a running back in a long time. Anderson is threatening that record now.
On first down, Gannon to Herschel Walker, and a first down to the 40-yard line. Get the feeling that maybe the Vikings offense, which has been struggling, somebody's saying, let's get the ball to that Walker guy. A.C. Carter's been doing his job. You got to get the ball to Walker. Keith McCants made the tackle. He's in there now at the right linebacker spot, their number 1 choice from Alabama for Tampa Bay, number 52. First down, Minnesota, trailed by only a touchdown. On their own 40-yard line. Rich Gannon in his first start. Flag down as they stop Walker, or Fenny, pardon me. Fenny right at the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard gain. Giants continue to roll, leading the Cowboys. The Eagles on top over Indianapolis. And the Lions trying to rebound from their loss at the hands of these Buccaneers last week. Green Bay struggling. See what this flag is.
Tim, you hear people say a lot, you have to get the ball to Walker. You know, well, the obvious reason for it is that he can take
Illegal motion. Number 83 on the offense. Still first down.
He can take a short run or a short pass and go the distance because he does have world-class speed. We're looking at Jordan here now, the tight end for the Vikings. But the reason why Herschel Walker is such a tremendous offensive threat is that he can score anytime from anywhere on the field. So you want to give him as many opportunities as possible.
Jordan was called for the illegal motion, so it's 1st and 15. The gain by Walker wiped out. Gannon to Walker again, and he can't hold on, but he was well covered by Kevin Murphy, number 59. Didn't really have a chance to go anywhere had he caught the ball.
Well, that matchup would have been okay. Kevin Murphy, at about 240 pounds or so, could handle Herschel Walker one-on-one, but where Walker is really dangerous is when he gets into the secondary, when he's bouncing off of defensive backs who are 185, 190 pounds. They just don't stop him.
Reuben Davis had to leave the field for Tampa with an injury. That brings John Cannon, number 78, on for him. 2nd and 15. Finney got to the 44-yard line of the Vikings, where Mark Robinson stopped him.
Normally, when you run against a three-man line, the type of defense that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run, you like to run straight ahead because they have what they call the bubble, two bubbles right in the middle of the field over the offensive guards, and it looks like he can run at it pretty easily. But Jerry Burns told us yesterday, you look at that Tampa Bay defense and you say, you ought to be able to run against it, but they play it pretty tough because those linebackers step up in there and fill, and you have to really work hard to get them out of there.
Well, they're good linebackers with good size, and he's got a lot of them. Everybody gets to play. 3rd down and 5. Gannon got the first down. Pushed out by Winston Moss. Got the yardage.
Tim, here's the time when you're happy you have a quarterback like Rich Gannon holding the football. Back in the shotgun, not able to find anybody. Now, he was really sort of undecided here. He wanted to throw the ball. Now he decides, I'm going to go with it, but he has to outrun the linebacker, and he does as he makes his turn here for the first down.
49 yards rushing on 6 carries for Gannon. He did come out of there a little prematurely, though. He wasn't giving his receivers a chance to break free on the play, but he got the first down. Walker got about a yard, and they're in Tampa Bay territory at the 47. Eugene Marv on the tackle, number 99. Broderick Thomas is back on the field. We mentioned they have a good group of linebackers. In fact, young Mr. Thomas, in his 2nd year and first kind of full-time year, says, hey, we think we're as good as they have anywhere in the league, our group of linebackers, including the New York Giants. Generally considered to have the best group. A lot of confidence on this Tampa team. Gannon finds Hassan Jones. First down, Vikings, to the 38-yard line of Tampa. Reynolds on the tackle.
Tim, this pattern is a defensive back's nightmare. Hassan Jones lined up at the lower right of the camera here, of your screen, goes in motion. Now follow him. He'll go through the line of scrimmage. Now cut back across. Here's where the linebackers and defensive backs lose him. Makes a big play.
Has to run a long way to get the ball, doesn't he? That's what they pay him for. Play action. Gannon has it. Deep for Anthony Carter. Incomplete. Just overthrown again. Wayne Haddocks had pretty good coverage on the speedy Carter. The ball hung up a little bit and then wound up being just off the fingertips.
Tim, that's the kind of a pass pattern where the quarterback wants to lead his receiver. And what Gannon did was really sort of hang it up and threw it a little short, so Carter had to slow down for it. Had he put it out there, we could catch it at full stride. The Minnesota Vikings would be looking at a touchdown right now.
Instead, it's 2nd and 10 from the 37. Gannon is 13 of 24. 150 yards of passing. Walker. Dropped for a loss. Eugene Marv and Mark Robinson. Vikings have not had a lot of success trying to run the ball outside, except when Gannon has been flushed and found a little more room to move.
That's right, because Eugene Marv, number 99, and Mark Robinson, number 30, on that defense were King, Herschel Walker. Had Herschel Walker, no matter where he went, those two people would have been on him like glue.
And they were. Look at that. 11 carries, only 8 yards on the day rushing for Walker. Chris Carter in the lineup as an extra receiver. And he steps up. And incomplete. Good defensive play. Harry Hamilton. Make it to Ricky Reynolds, number 29.
Ricky Reynolds, Tim, is playing the right corner for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this is pretty tough coverage. He's one-on-one all the way with Anthony Carter. Now, here he is, little Chuck, get control of him. Now, he sees the ball coming and drives right through the receiver. Great defensive effort, but on the other hand, the receivers should come back to the ball.
A punt from Newsom through the end zone. There'll be a touchback. And so the Buccaneers will have the ball back with the lead. Tim Ryan with Irv Cross, Metrodome, Minneapolis. First down, Tampa Bay at their own 20. Following the touchback, they lead by 7. Gary Anderson and Henry Thomas wrapped him up. Love listening to that Henry Thomas. There's Wade Wilson with some counsel for Rich Gannon. You see the cast on Wilson's hand. His thumb injury is going to keep him out for at least a couple of months. So this destiny of the Vikings this season is certainly in the hands of Gannon. And this quarterback has thrown the ball only 11 times in this game. He's averaged 20 passes a game, which is low for Testaverde through the first 3 weeks. And he's below that. And that one intended for Hill is off the mark, as Dolman had a pretty good rush on him. Testaverde had to hurry it there. Hill's had a couple of drops, where Testaverde's 7 for 12 numbers would be an even higher percentage. Tampa Bay scored the only touchdown back in the first quarter. Gary Anderson took it in from 2 yards out. Since then, it's been Igwe Buike, the former Buccaneer, against Steve Christie. Drury and Harvey, the wide receivers. Flag down, and the ball dropped at the 30-yard line by Gary Anderson. What'd you see there, Irv?
Well, I got all excited. When the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come out in that formation, they like to run what they call seam patterns, having the receivers inside fly deep upfield. One receiver did, and they came back.
Defense, first down.
Penalty on the defense.
Andre McMillan, evidently an illegal push of some kind against McMillan. And it's a first down for the Buccaneers at their own 26-yard line. Reggie Cobb buried by Joey Browner. The safety, Joey Browner, coming up there and making a really tough defensive play.
A tough defensive play with his signature on it. Number 47, Joey Browner, is responsible for coming out quickly here to force this play. Here he is, number 47, right in the hole. It's mano a mano. Browner wins. Good play.
Virtually no gain. Second down. Little draw play for Gary Anderson. Merriweather steered him out before he made the 10-yard marker. It's a pickup of about 8.5 for Gary Anderson. A 9-yard gain officially. 91 yards on the day, and still 8:07 to go for Gary Anderson. He gets a breather. It'll be third down, a long yard. Well, this is one of those plays you pick out in a game. A big defensive situation for Minnesota here. And they do not stop Cobb. Cobb dropped the ball. Vikings, Merriweather has the football. Joey Browner stripped it with his hit of Cobb. Well, they didn't stop him at the point of attack, and they wound up getting the fumble downfield.
But Tim, Tampa Bay had everything they wanted. Here's the toss. Here comes Cobb. Look at the bevy of blockers he has there. Everything is blocked cleanly. All he has to do is hold onto the football. Oh, gee.
Looked like he might have been trying to change hands there. See it again.
Trying to exchange hands. I think he just lost control of it.
Yeah, just lost control of it. And an alert Mike Merriweather comes up with a big play for the Vikings. Gannon on first down, completes to Jones. Reynolds and Robinson, but Hassan Jones a first down at the 27.
To the right side of the screen here, Hassan Jones is running a deep hook. He goes off the line, running as fast as he can, driving off the defensive back, then stops to come back for a key catch. 20-yarder.
Vikings with a chance to do some business. Down by a touchdown. Finney. To the 18-yard line. 2nd and 2 will be left. Marvin Hamilton on the stop.
Tim, more likely than not, when you get drives like this going, the offensive linemen are the people who come together. Now, Tim Irwin on that particular play did a tremendous job up front on Reuben Davis, clearing the way for Finney to make that run-off tackle.
Finney, good defensive play by Scow. Stopped him short of the first down. It'll leave 3rd and a yard. No gain on the play. They spot it right at the line of scrimmage at the 19. So still two full yards are required here. Well, here's the reverse situation. On the important 3rd down defensive play for the Vikings, they came up with a turnover. Now it faces the Buccaneers right here. Nearly 3 required. Gannon has time. Can't find a man. Has the yardage.
Rich Gannon really had a couple of receivers he could have gone to. Rick Finney to his right was open in the short flat about 5 yards upfield. He had a deep receiver open, but he wasn't sure of himself. So he said, I'm going to get out of here and run for the first down. Lines up with the ball inside the 10-yard line for the Vikings.
60 yards rushing for Gannon. Inside the 10. 1st and goal. Finney gets a couple. About the 7-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. Reuben Davis on the stop. 4:51 on the clock. Another tense battle developing for the Vikings, who went through one last week against Chicago. Bob Schnelker upstairs, contributing to the offensive picture of the Vikings. And Tom Moore down on the field. 2nd and goal. Finney for Carter. Touchdown. Rich Gannon delivers to Anthony Carter. Didn't have to throw it very far, but he had it right on the money. Igwe Buike for the tying point. Yes. 4:25 to play. A tie football game at the Metrodome. There's the man of the moment for the Minnesota Vikings, Anthony Carter, a 7-yard touchdown from Rich Gannon to tie it up at 13. 4:25 to go, and there is the young quarterback in his first start, talking to Mark Pressman, an assistant coach who works with the quarterbacks. Pressman worked with Vinny Testaverde at Miami, and then in Tampa Bay. Here he is on the other side, coaching Rich Gannon, former Delaware star. Igwe Buike, line drive kickoff. Eagles fields it at the 1. Out to the 31-yard line. Andre McMillan got him there. 46 yards in 6 plays after a crucial turnover. The fumble by Reggie Cobb, setting up the opportunity. Gannon to Anthony Carter.
Tim, the reason why this play goes is because Herschel Walker comes out here, clears the linebacker, allowing Carter to get inside. Now the defensive back, number 45, Wayne Haddix, has to fight to keep Carter from getting in there. Carter wins, 7-yard touchdown.
First down, Tampa Bay. The crowd into it now. Draw play. Gary Anderson for about 4. Henry Thomas on the stop. Remember, the Vikings without Keith Millard, who left with a knee injury back in the 3rd quarter. And Reggie Rutland has not returned after suffering what it must be a slight head injury. Andre McMillan playing in the right corner spot. The 2 starters out defensively. Testaverde, 2nd and 6. Anderson nowhere. Merriweather's having a whale of a game. Leave aside the fact that he picked up the loose ball, he has just been everywhere defensively today, Herb.
What they like to do with him, though, Tim, the way they play the linebackers, Merriweather is in a position where he's not covering an offensive player, a tight end, so he plays in what we call space. So he has the ability to roam and follow the play, and he does that very well. He has good speed. He's dragging a lot of plays from behind today. He's having an exceptional day.
Now, not only that, you just saw him take in the call. He is in the spot in the middle now where Studwell would normally be. 3rd down. Testaverde. Interception. Bullington. It's going to be called back. Bullington in the end zone, but it will not be a touchdown. It is a sack, however. And Testaverde is the injured player. Struthers had Testaverde wrapped up. Testaverde shoveled the ball right to Bullington.
All this is, Tim, is a bull rush inside. Struthers looping outside of the other defensive tackle, comes free here, makes a hit. Now Testaverde trying to create something here, not losing your yardage, throwing the ball away, throws an interception instead.
Irv, what do you think of this concept? I mean, it seems to me the defensive team ought to have a choice in this kind of grasp situation. After all, they score a touchdown because the quarterback elects to try to make the play.
It's a referee's judgment, Tim.
Well, he was in the grasp. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying maybe there ought to be a choice by the defense in a situation.
That this should be an intercepted pass because he did throw it and he picked it off, but he's in the grasp first. That overrides the thrown pass. But I agree with you. It's a very close call.
Well, it's a tough situation for the defense, but nonetheless, they have forced the punt. Kick from Royals, fair catch by Carter at the 44-yard line of Minnesota. So they don't have 6 points, but after just a 34-yard punt by Royals, they have good field position and 2:30 to do something with it. From the 44-yard line. It just strikes me that there's some injustice there where the sack rule is designed to protect the quarterback. The quarterback is in the grasp. He's trying to make a play. He makes a play. The defense comes up with a great defensive play and an interception. And all they get out of it is a sack. First down. Nobody ever said life was fair. Penny. First down, Vikings to the 45 of Tampa Bay.
Tim, you can see it coming. Early in the fourth quarter, both Tim Irwin, the right tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, and Gary Zimmerman, the left tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, are beginning to take charge of the defensive ends lined over their heads. That drive play, again, Tim Irwin, the right tackle, opening the hole.
2-minute warning has sounded. It'll be first down, Vikings at the Tampa 45 when we return. First down, Vikings at the 45-yard line. There's Donald Igwebuike. He looks relaxed. He's looking for an opportunity. You got to believe you can put yourself into a situation here. Would he not like to be kicking the winning field goal against Ray Perkins today? He may get the chance. Lots can happen. Look at, meanwhile, Randall McDaniel injured his ankle, the starting left guard of the Vikings, and he's out of the game. Adam Schreiber in for him. Vikings have been battered today physically. Penny to the 41-yard line. Irvin Randall, Harry Hamilton stop him there. It'll leave 2nd and 6.
Tim, you try to think along with Bernsey and figure what he's thinking. And my guess is he's saying protect the field position. Let's run the ball, run the clock down, set up a field goal first. Get in field goal range, then we'll decide what we want to do with the ball.
Incomplete. Intended for Herschel Walker. Mark Robinson. Tight coverage.
That was a tremendous play by Mark Robinson. Again, a pattern like that where the receiver is coming in sharply at a 45-degree angle on a slant is very difficult to defend. But Mark Robinson accelerated to the ball, got there as the ball arrived, and made a terrific play.
Third down. Complete to Hassan Jones. Touchdown pass to Hassan Jones, who in the early part of this season has become the significant receiver on this talent-laden team. Donald Igwebuike will attempt the point after. We'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Giants-Dallas game. The Vikings involved in another thrilling finish here. 1:19 to play. They have just taken the lead.
Tim, number 84, Hassan Jones, is beginning to rise into the star class here. People in Minnesota know him very well. He's made a lot of big catches. But the difference between Hassan Jones this year and in past years is once he catches the ball, he's become a good runner. He was never a good runner with the football in the past. Now he's getting in the end zone.
And Rich Gannon, who has just missed on several pass plays today, a couple of which look like they might have been touchdowns, in the clutch here, has had the ball where he needs it to be, in the hands of his receivers. And the Minnesota Vikings have taken the lead 20-13. There's the clock, 1:19 to play. Tampa Bay opened the scoring back in the first period on a 2-yard touchdown run by Gary Anderson. The Bucks running the ball very successfully in the early going. And the Vikings have really been climbing uphill all day long, but their defensive team kind of hung in there, didn't let the Bucks get into the end zone beyond that Anderson touchdown, and held them to the field goals by Christie, and now the Vikings have taken the lead.
You know, Tim, talking to Hassan Jones yesterday, he says, you know, I'm not really a star on this Viking team. We have too many big names. We have Anthony Carter and Herschel Walker and Steve Jordan. I'm just trying to do my job.
Well, he's been doing well today. This is Peebles. And Peebles gets to the 25-yard line. 1:13 to go for Testaverde and company. John Randall made the tackle, and Hassan Jones crossed the 100-yard mark in receiving with that touchdown pass for today. And the Vikings, when he's had a day like that, have never lost the game. That's a good omen. But 1:13 remains for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Testaverde, 7 of 13. 88 yards passing. There's a look at how Hassan has performed, and the Vikings have won. Testaverde has a man, Bruce Hill. To the 31 of Minnesota. 1:03 to play. Testaverde was about to take off and run it. Spotted Hill, waving at him, and made the play. 43 yards.
Tim, sometimes a play like that is very difficult for a secondary to stay with. Now, we always tell our defensive backs, when the play breaks down like that, plaster, stay with the receiver, don't give up on them. And as it turned out, Ken Johnson dropped Bruce Hill when he thought Testaverde was going to run with the ball. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have come up with a big play.
Again, the Vikings defense still without Keith Millard, hurt with a sprained knee in the third quarter, and Reggie Rutland, the starting cornerback. Testaverde sails it up, and it is caught but out of bounds. Mark Carrier, number 88, could not keep himself in the field of play as the ball was thrown out of bounds.
We're going to take another look at this, see if he gets 2 feet. First of all, catch the ball. You must have it under control, and then have 2 feet in bounds. He's caught it. One knee's down, Tim. He doesn't have an incomplete pass. Close, but a pretty good call. Must catch it, both feet in bounds, his knees on the line.
It also looked like the ball might have touched the ground there as he stretched out for it.
Yep.
The ball at the 31-yard line. 57 seconds remain to play. Denny Testaverde has thrown on an average of 20 passes a game through the first 3 games of the season because the running attack of the Bucs has been much improved over the recent years. And today has only had to go to the air now that he's coming from behind. You see Floyd Peters, defensive boss in the white shirt, Jerry Burns, talking to him and making sure they've got everybody where they want them. It's a critical defensive situation.
Yeah, Tim, I think one of the big concerns is whether or not they want to continue to put extra pressure on Testaverde by blitzing in this situation, or if they can stay back and play pass defense and their dime defense. They have 6 defensive backs out there now. They're going to lay off.
Second down. Good catch by Carrier, going up for it at the 20-yard line, and he has a first down. 48 seconds remaining. They're down by 7, remember. And they stop the clock again with a timeout, 47 seconds left. Tampa Bay with 2 timeouts remaining. Testaverde and Ray Perkins talk it over.
Tim, and we've seen on film, looking at the Tampa Bay team getting ready for this broadcast, that in here, inside the 20-yard line, they like to do a lot of nifty things with Gary Anderson. Everybody knows he's a terrific running back, but he also is a pretty good passer. He's right-handed, and they have a run pass in their offensive arsenal where he'll oftentimes will break off to his right, throw the ball if the receiver's open. If not, he'll take off with it. Last week he came up with a big touchdown against Detroit. You might see something like that in this play sequence.
It's caught near the 10-yard line. Bruce Hill, short of the first down. They're in the hurry up. 36 seconds left. They've got to get to the end zone. Testaverde, he's got a man. Touchdown. Bruce Hill, all alone, standing in the back of the end zone. Testaverde again looked like he might take off running. Then found Hill all by himself. Boy, did that quiet the crowd.
It's the second time this is happening on this drive, as somebody in the secondary dropped Bruce Hill, who's one of the key receivers on the Tampa Bay offensive club. Now, Bruce Hill at the lower part of your screen, simply running an up pattern. He's in the end zone. No one covers him. Number 22, Ken Johnson, dropped him for a second time. First time for a big first down, this time a touchdown.
Christie will attempt the point after to tie it up. And he's got it. A flag is down on the play. We have a tie football game, depending on the outcome of this penalty flag. Interesting point to be made that Johnson is on the field because Reggie Rutland is hurt. McMillan, the nickelback, is in Rutland's spot. Johnson would be the last of the defensive backs to come on there. Now, we're not necessarily pegging him for the blame, but nonetheless, they don't have the regular secondary out there.
Point is not good. Tripping. Number 78 on the offense. 10 yards. Still a try.
John Cannon charged with tripping, and so Christie will have to do it over again.
Tim, the point you're making with the Viking defense substituting players is really critical because they call their defensive automatics by formation. And if you're not really on top of all those formations, so here's the kick, which is good, but there's a tripping penalty in there, so they don't lose. They lose the extra point. But if you're not on top of all those changes, you could very well make a mental error.
So Christie now will have the ball placed down for him at the 20. It'll be a 30-yard point after try. And the crowd hoping for something good from the defense. But he's got it. Steve Christie, the Canadian rookie who sent Donald Igwebuike here to Minnesota, has tied it up. 24 seconds remain, regulation time. Well, the Vikings, who went through a game like this last week against the Bears, came out on the short end after a fumble by the punter Harry Newsom and a subsequent Bears 52-yard field goal by Kevin Butler. Here they are now, having taken the lead late in the game, only to see the Buccaneers come back and tie it up. And what a job by Testaverde and company, Irv. You got to be impressed with the maturity, and that is Ray Perkins' word to us yesterday about the youthful Buccaneers. He says, yes, we're young, but we're very mature.
They are very mature. They played some big-time football, though. Most of them come from college programs where they have lots of success playing in places like Miami and Arkansas and Alabama. You know, they played a lot of big games as collegiate athletes, so playing in a pressure situation is not new to a lot of these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they have a new resolve. They feel they're as good as anybody in the league. They just have to prove it. They're a young team on the rise. They believe in themselves, and the only way they can prove it is to come in and knock off some top-flight teams.
Good kickoff, a yard deep. Walker will come out. Walker tripped up, dives to the 20-yard line. So the special team of the Buccaneers does the job. Odie Harris tripped him up. Vikings with 2 timeouts and 21 seconds to work with. Rich Gannon, who has 2 touchdown passes in this fourth quarter, one of them following the fumble recovery by Merriweather that really turned the game toward Minnesota after Reggie Cobb fumbled it. First down at the 20. 3 wide receivers, their so-called squadron right formation. Chris Carter out to the left. Last time they threw to him. This time they run it. Penny. It's about 6 yards to the 21. Well, we'd like to welcome you back again, those of you who've been watching the Giants-Dallas game. We have 15 seconds to play regulation time here at the Metrodome. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross watching a real thriller here in the final seconds. Tied at 20 and overtime looming. Second down and 5 at the 26-yard line of the Vikings. Rich Gannon, the quarterback for the injured Wade Wilson, talking to Tom Moore, the assistant head coach offense, and head coach Jerry Burns.
Tim,
2 fourth-quarter touchdowns by Gannon.
Tim, put your coach's hat on. You're Jerry Burns standing on the sidelines of the Minnesota Vikings. You have 1 timeout left, 15 seconds. You want to go about 45 yards to set up a field goal to win the game.
Well, the Buccaneers had to bring it upfield with just about a minute and a half remaining after the last Minnesota score, and Testaverde got it to Bruce Hill for the score. tying it up at 20. Gannon, sideliner. Complete to Chris Carter. Is out of bounds at the 40-yard line of Minnesota. 9 seconds left. Well, there's a look at the developments here today. A big day for Gary Anderson, 96 yards rushing and a touchdown. Anthony Carter has a touchdown and 6 catches. Hassan Jones has played well, but this was the one that tied it up. Testaverde to Bruce Hill, left all alone in the end zone. Testaverde spotting him just as it appeared he was about to take off running. Back live with 9 seconds. Gannon going deep to the squadron. And it is incomplete. 4 defenders, 3 receivers, no catch. 3 seconds left. Overtime appears ahead. Mark Trestman will signal in this last offensive call. Gannon looked like he either didn't know what it was or he didn't like it. Ray Perkins.
Tim, that squadron right, squadron left formation the Minnesota Vikings run is really a very important part of their offense. A lot of teams will run a play like that as a throwaway. Let's just throw it up there and see if something can happen. They work on it in earnest, feeling they can score on that play because they have 3 guys to the far right side of the field there who are great jumpers.
Well, they're going to try it again. And it's intercepted by the Buccaneers as zeros come up.
Good job, Steve!
Harry Hamilton made the interception for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we are headed to overtime at the Metrodome. Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in here with a 2-1 mark. They've beaten Detroit twice for their 2 victories. Minnesota at 1-2, not wanting to fall back any farther here in the Central Division. The coin toss for overtime. Team captains meeting out there. And
Tampa Bay, which one will call the toss? Call it in the air? Tail. We call tails. It's heads. Minnesota, you're charged. You want the ball? Which end will you defend?
Minnesota won the coin toss at the start of the game, and they have won it again.
Then Minnesota won the toss.
So we'll be back. Minnesota will have it first when we return. Well, that says it all here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. We're beginning an overtime period. 15 minutes of action, or less. And that's an interesting stat all unto itself. 51% of the game. So it isn't a huge advantage to receive, but I'm sure every team that is receiving feels that it is an advantage, and a larger one than 51% of the time.
Yeah. Well, a lot of teams have complained that in the overtime situation that you ought to have a second chance to score. So you receive the kickoff, you go down and score. The other team should have at least one drive to score as well. It's not in the real rule book. Some people would like to see it that way.
Rich Gannon is now 17 of 32, really coming on with 2 fourth-quarter touchdown passes. Walker drops the ball in the end zone, and he will now elect to not bring it up. So Minnesota will start from their 20-yard line. Rich Gannon's got to feel like, boy, this game was made for me. Overtime, my first start, everybody depending on me, all his talent all around me. And as the game has gone on, he's gotten better.
He's gotten better. He's one of the coolest guys out there. This being a starter doesn't seem to bother him at all. He's accepted it as though it was supposed to be that way. He stepped in there and he's running things just as perhaps Wade Wilson would have.
Play action on first down. And not much for Gannon there. The Bucs reacting very well. I think by now they got to look for his running. And they were afraid of that when the game began. This time the linebackers staying right at home there to make sure they got him. Moss and Randall.
a lot of times, Tim, what teams will do when you have a good running quarterback is have either a safety or a linebacker mirror or screen the quarterback. So if he's back there as a potential runner, the linebacker stays there, spies with him, make sure he throws the ball before they get out, before they release.
Gannon got 5. Finney. And he has a first down. 32-yard line. And we note that Randall McDaniel, as we see Eugene Marv, who made the tackle, McDaniel has not returned to the offensive line. The ankle injury has him on the sideline. So Adam Schreiber, number 60, continues at left guard. The Vikings with 2 starters out on defense, Millard and Rutland, due to injury. They hope not to have to use their defense. Gannon for Carter. AC on the slant to the 48-yard line of Minnesota.
Tim, this slant pattern has been the Vikings' most successful pass route throughout the entire game. Anthony Carter caught a touchdown pass from the 7-yard line on the same route. What it is simply this. Herschel Walker, number 34, comes out of the backfield, flares out to his left, and you'll see him go here. There he goes, taking the linebacker. Now that opens up a zone in there where Carter has an open area to run his quick slant. Cornerback was beaten for the catch.
15-yard gain and a first down at the Minnesota 48. Finney cuts it back and knocks back Winston Moss. Pulled down from behind by Hamilton and gains close to 7. $88 yards rushing for Vic Finney today on 16 carries. Second down. Play action. Gannon in trouble. Throws it up for grabs, and it is incomplete. Holy moly, Jerry Burns, I'm sure, has got to see his heart doctor after that one.
Tim, the only thing Jerry Burns is concerned about was a pass like that.
Now, once again, we welcome back the audience who've been watching the Giants-Dallas game. We're in overtime at the Metrodome, and Rich Gannon just chucked one up under pursuit from the charging defenders of the Tampa Bay Bucks. And as Irv Cross has said, that's the one thing that Jerry Burns was worried about, that he might throw a key interception somewhere along the line, trying to make a play. It is incomplete. Third down and 4. Diving catch for a first down. Anthony Carter at the 40-yard line of Tampa Bay. Rodney Rice made the tackle. Pretty hard to stop that one, isn't it, Irv?
Real hard to stop it, Tim, because the Vikings had 4 wide receivers on the field, plus Herschel Walker in the backfield. So they had potentially 5 good receivers on the football field. Puts an awful lot of pressure on the defense.
Also, the diving catch by Carter. Rice had decent coverage on it. Finney again. Finney's been going well today. About 8 yards, and they're approaching field goal territory. Harry Hamilton again on the stop.
Tim, I can't overemphasize the work of the offensive tackles of the Minnesota Vikings in the last 2 or 3 drive series. They want to go off tackle. Tim Irwin on the right side, Gary Zimmerman on the left, handling those defensive ends very well. It's muscle on muscle, and right now, the Minnesota Vikings offensive line, particularly the tackles, are winning.
Second and a long 3. Igwe Buike, the kicker, has a 48-yarder to his credit already this season. Finney again trying to get the first down, is stopped short by about a yard. Hard hit on him that time. And they'll spot it at the 31-yard line of Tampa Bay. Ray Perkins got to be worried now. And once more, Eugene Marv in on the thick of things. 10th play of this opening drive of overtime. Donald Igwe Buike was smiling on the sideline back late in regulation time, thinking he might get a chance to win it. And he has to be prepared now. Gannon They got him. Winston Moss fought off a block and made an excellent defensive play.
Tim, this is one of the most difficult things for an outside linebacker to do. It takes an awful lot of discipline to stay at home when play action goes away from you. In most cases, you have a rule where you chase the flow of the play. But Winston Moss stayed at home, anticipating some kind of an outside maneuver by Gannon, and made a terrific play. Now here comes Iggy.
A 48-yard attempt for Igwebuike to win it. No good. Wide left. Ray Perkins has a life, as do his Tampa Bay Bucks. And the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, with a chance to win it in overtime, didn't get a good foot into the ball.
Let's see what happened on it, Tim. The snap's away, and it is good. Set up. He just simply
didn't get
too high on the ball. He got too high on the ball. When you hit it high, that's what you get, a line drive. You wanted to get under the belly of the football. He didn't do it. This is the first kick he's missed inside the 40 in an awful long time.
48-yard try. 48-yard try, but it is Buccaneer ball from the 30. Anderson to the 35-yard line. So the Buccaneers now have their opportunity. 9:28 remains in this overtime period. 5-yard pickup. Donald Igwebuike, who wanted so badly to connect here against Ray Perkins, the man who let him go from Tampa. 100 yards on the day rushing for Gary Anderson. 20 carries, he's been their main man. Testaverde changes up. Deep sideline, one-on-one coverage, incomplete. Carrier, the intended receiver, Andre McMillan, comes limping back. He had the coverage, and if he goes down with Rutland out of there, that secondary of the Vikings is in some trouble. Grimm comes on, replacing Berry to give them an extra back.
Tim, you can expect him to challenge McMillan again, because Reggie Rutland is one of the highest rated defensive backs in the league, is out with an injury. McMillan playing for them is going to be the man that I'm sure Tampa Bay is going to try to work against.
Third down. Big play, Tampa Bay. Either way. First down, Buccaneers at midfield. Testaverde, flushed out of the pocket, takes off successfully again.
Terrific scramble on Testaverde's part. He got everything he could get out of this play. Couldn't find a receiver open, and then he improvises. Vinny Testaverde dropping back, looking to his left first. Wants to go deep, it's not there. Good coverage. Credit the secondary of the Minnesota Vikings. Now it's a foot race. Testaverde has pretty good speed. Scampers out to the sideline for a first down.
16-yard gain. They're at midfield. Steve Christie, the kicker, getting ready. Gary Anderson taking it inside for about 7. Merriweather on the stop. Browner there to help.
Tim, we have a different set of circumstances here now, because there's a great deal of pressure now mounting on the Minnesota Viking defense, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a field goal kicker who, in practice, Christie, kicked the ball this week 69 yards. He has a real cannon for a leg.
He had a 55-yard field goal last week against Detroit. He is 4 of 5 on field goals. Anderson stopped short of the first down. Brings up another key third down play. They'll need 2 yards here. Dolman made the stop. Testaverde looking for the signal from the sideline. 7:41 remaining, overtime. Ray Perkins, who calls these plays. On the 3rd and 2. Bootleg, and Testaverde is stuffed. Excellent defensive work by the Vikings. Merriweather having a whale of a game.
Tim, what a difference a week makes. Last week, the Chicago Bears would have gone who knows how far on a play like that. But Mike Merriweather staying at home. Again, I can't overemphasize the fact of how much discipline it takes for a linebacker to stand there when everything goes away. He stood at home. Testaverde came back, made a terrific play.
So instead of a field goal try, it's a punt. Royal standing at his 42-yard line. Carter at the 10 of Minnesota. Angling for the corner. Fair catch signal at the 13. So it's Gannon's turn. 30-yard punt by Royals. And Gannon with his instructions from Tom Moore. Will Igwebuike get another chance against Ray Perkins and the Bucks?
Tim, I'm sure he'd like to have another chance. I was talking to him during the pregame warm-up when he was kicking, and he's wearing his old Tampa Bay Buck shoes. He just painted the orange stripes black. He said he'd love to have a shot at winning this game.
First down from the 13. Play action. Gannon has Carter and intercepted. Yes, intercepted. Bobbled around 3 times, and Wayne Haddix comes up with it for the Buccaneers. Normally sure-handed Carter, they may have gone to the well once too often on the slant, although the ball was there. How often are you going to see him not hold on to it?
It was there. He's made several big plays today on the same pattern. This time, instead of coming down with the ball cleanly, AC bats it up in the air, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers react to it quickly, and Wayne Haddix comes up with a key interception.
Oh, my. Let's see it again.
Oh, my. Quick slant again. Good throw. Right in his hands. Doesn't have control of it. The ball bounces up in the air there, and Wayne Haddix is the hero of the day.
A little volleyball before Haddix came down with it. And now they're at the 27-yard line. First down. Reggie Cobb inside the 20. Confidence again that Perkins has in his young players. He's got the rookie carrying the ball, Reggie Cobb. And they're going to bring the field goal unit on now. Steve Christie from Oakville, Ontario, Canada. All-American at William & Mary. Will have the chance to be the Buccaneer hero.
Tim, the Minnesota Vikings have had a reputation in the past, and they continue to hold it, of blocking a lot of kicks. I mean, they've done it any number of times. This fellow's an excellent kicker, but the rush is going to be on.
36-yard attempt. It is good. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have gone to 3-1, and look at Ray Perkins. That's about as excited as he gets, folks. Ray Perkins out there practically kissed his field goal kicker. And the Tampa Bay Bucks have handed the Vikings another devastating defeat. 2 weeks in a row, a field goal has beaten the Vikings despite good defensive play by Minnesota. And Perkins and Burns, a brief moment. And there's the man who kicked the winner, Steve Christie.
Vikings, 10 men on the line, putting on as much pressure as they possibly can. It's well blocked up front. It's away for 3.
You know, it looked like a little bit of a low snap, and Royals did a good job to tee it up for Christie. And so the somewhat surprising Tampa Bay Buccaneers, surprising perhaps to the rest of the league, there it is, the low snap. Good job by Royals, but not surprising to their coach, Ray Perkins, who was a very confident man when we spoke to him yesterday. Once again, our final score, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 23, the Minnesota Vikings 20. Now let's go to New York for the NFL Today post-game show. And Greg Gumbel and Terry Bradshaw with all the NFL scores and highlights, as well as an update of the pennant races.